Then on the strand, with steeds and treasure, and armor their roomy and ring-dight ship was heavily laden. High its mast rose over Hrothgar's hoarded gems. A sword to the boat guard Beowulf gave, mounted with gold. On the mead bench, since he was better esteemed, that blade possessing heirloom old. Their ocean keel boarding, they drove through the deep, and Daneland left. A sea-cloth was set, a sail with ropes firm to the mast, the flood timbers moaned. Nor did wind over billows that wave swimmer blow across from her course. The craft sped on, foam-necked it floated forth o'er the waves, keel firm bound over briny currents, till they got them sight of the Geatish cliffs, home-known headlands. High the boat, stirred by winds, on the strand updrove. Helpful at haven the harbour guard stood, who long already for loved companions by the water had waited and watched afar.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome to a Tuesday stream. It is 12:13 p.m. Eastern, and it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you wonderful, lovely people to day one of Beowulf, Age of Heroes. This is the Hermit Sanctuary Part 1, and I am honored to be joined by one of the two players who will be involved in these campaigns. I'm super excited for it. Before I go any further, I do want to just quickly mention, I want to thank the amazing and awesome Peripheral Mike for having done that video. And we actually have a new one on the way, by the way, that we literally just downloaded, that we've got a new one coming to you. So that is going to be, in fact, let me see if I have, I'm going to put that in there for... I'm going to put that in there for just 1 second. Let me see. Because we got, like, literally as I was uploading this, we had a second take with Tari's character. So we've got that going on, which is very cool. And I cannot wait to be able to show you the sort of full of that. Oh, that's no, that's no problem. Wholesome Horror Gaming, also known as Peripheral Mike. You people should be following that person. The video is super, super awesome. In fact, let me see if I actually can get this up and rolling. This is very close to the one that we just did, but there are a couple of minor changes. Let me see. Let me just double check and make sure that this is working. All right, here we go.
Then on the strand, with steeds and treasure, and armor their roomy and ring-dight ship was heavily laden.
Since Mike is here.
High its mast rose over Hrothgar's hoarded gems. A sword to the boat guard Beowulf gave, mounted with gold.
Okay.
On the mead bench, since he was better esteemed, that blade possessing heirloom old. Their ocean keel boarding, they drove through the deep, and Daneland left. A sea-cloth was set, a sail with ropes firm to the mast, the flood timbers moaned.
I have faith, Mike.
Nor did wind over billows that wave swimmer blow across from her course. The craft sped on, foam-necked it floated forth o'er the waves, keel firm bound over briny currents, till they got them sight of the Geatish cliffs, home-known headlands. High the boat, stirred by winds, on the strand updrove. Helpful at haven the harbour guard stood, who long already for loved companions by the water had waited and watched afar.
Ooh, I gotta get rid of the... There we go. Aha! I like that my picture is like soaring into the age of heroes. That is amazing, Mike. Wow. That's absolutely awesome. And you do get to see Tari's amazing art. You will see a lot of TariToons art featured in this campaign, by the way, because there is a great deal of it that was provided by Tari. You've all seen Tari's art on this channel if you spent any time here before, but it's going to be amazing. And you should see some of these other things, by the way. Some of these other images and all that stuff is great. But let me just, again, call out Peripheral Mike, who's in here as Wholesome Horror Gaming. Great, great work by Mike. If you need any kind of video work done, Mike has got a ton that he's doing for me. First of all, he just did season 4 of the Eberron Oracle of War video, which is really maybe the best yet. This video that you just saw, there's going to be another one that for Tren's character next week. And then we've got also the videos that he's doing for my live Klein event coming up in a couple of weeks and all that in a few weeks. So that's we've got actually a couple of weeks, right? I think 2 weeks from Friday. Really, really good stuff. You should absolutely follow Peripheral Mike. Anyway, you should be following Wholesome Horror Gaming, which I think is actually, I don't know if your channel title has changed that, then I should probably change your channel title to that as well, Mike. But regardless, I know that you need to go live, but thank you, my friend. Amazing work. And you should absolutely thank you, Triffid. You should absolutely follow Mike's stuff. And if you have any video work you need done, could not recommend him any more highly. The stuff is just super pro. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Good stuff. And you will be seeing me and Mike later on today, as I'll talk about very briefly. So thank you again, Mike, so much for that. And yes, welcome everybody to day 1 of Beowulf. This is Age of Heroes with TariToons, The Hermit Sanctuary, Part 1. Before we go any further, a couple of quick reminders about ways to support the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord. By the way, on the YouTube, if you're following me, or if you are watching over on YouTube, welcome. Please follow me over there, and please join us over on our Twitch channel as well, because that would be lovely and much appreciated too. !ArvTube for that. !ArvCord is our Discord channel, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. !ArvTweets is my Twitter account. !ArvSky is my Blue Sky. Please follow me on both of those. And of course, the website for this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. We do not yet have Beowulf stuff up there, but we do have Shire Adventures. We do have Eberron Oracle of War stuff. We have regular channel stuff, and we will soon be adding Expedition from the Mysterious Peak stuff as well. So please consider getting some swag there for you, which also supports the channel. The Patreon, you can see right there bottom right, also supports the channel, and you can get cool stuff for yourself individually. You can also get inspirations to help our players, which is always a good thing in all of our tabletop campaigns. Also, subbing and or resubbing to the channel is another way to do all those good things, so please consider doing that. So yes, please consider doing those things. Publishing, Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. And as I'm going to be talking a lot about over the next couple of weeks, we have a rapidly approaching live event at the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Klein 2, that is free to attend, and it will be featuring the second of those adventures in that Forbidden Library trilogy called Return to the Forbidden Library. It's going to be on Friday, January 26th. It's going to be amazing, and it is free to attend, but please do get tickets as soon as you possibly can. We want to make sure that we can show what the demand is and also just sort of let people know about it. So please do spread the word and come yourself if you're in the tri-state area. And if you're not in the tri-state area, then please consider being around for the live stream, which will be happening on Friday night as well, that Friday the 26th. Very excited about that. Again, that link for that adventure is !Library. And last but certainly not least there, !Greyshade is my Grey Assassin trilogy. First 2 books, Greyshade and Renegade, are out already, and you can buy them now. You can also buy the Greyshade audiobook done by Tren Sparks, who you will see in this very campaign next week. And also I should say in that link, you can pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, being designed by Brandon O'Brien and which will be published by Alligator Alley Entertainment, and the final book of the Grey Assassin trilogy, Heretic, which I am working on rapidly as we speak. That will be coming out later this year. Tabletop game very late this year. Heretic will be coming out in the summer of this year, so you can pre-order that now. Last but certainly not least, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation point help now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. At exclamation point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will support and do these things for others in the future as well. And with all of that said, I am going to unmute myself and let Tari know that we're ready to go. And then I'm going to unmute her. And last but certainly not least, I am going to, hold on a second. I'm going to head over to reveal. There we go. It is Beowulf Age of Heroes time, and you can see that we are ready to go in our duet system. I hope that folks are as excited as I am. This amazing overlay that you see in front of you is done by the super talented person below me, and that, of course, is TariToons. So, Tari, welcome. It's good to see you. I saw you last week for Gamebook Illustration, but today we're talking about monster slaying, hero being, all kind of that stuff. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, Effect Life. Good timing as well with that victory music. Welcome, Tari. It's good to see you. How are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about the this experience, this game? And again, amazing art. Thank you for the amazing work on the art and all of that good stuff. So how are you feeling about all this?
Well, first of all, hello. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Been looking forward to this for a while now, so the hype was and is real. And also a little bit worried because just streaming like a game where I like have to pay attention now for 3 hours straight. I can't just zone out like I usually do at some point.
The secret is out. Yeah, now you're going to have to be focused the whole time.
Yeah, that's not really a secret, I think, that I zone out a lot. Anybody who ever played with me will know that. Yay, ADHD. Anyway, yeah, glad to be here. Finally.
Yeah, I know. We fought because we've been sort of teasing this and leading up to it, and we had our session 0 last month, but now we have session 1. And I guess the last thing that I want to mention is just before, you did introduce this character, so we don't have to go through all of it, but maybe just briefly, can you tell us who you're playing? Because there has been a slight name change as well. So please let us know who you're playing and all that kind of good stuff.
I did change my character's name for reasons that are a bit too convoluted to get into now. But anyway, her name now is Runsild, or Runsild, or I don't care how you pronounce it, honestly. It's a made-up name, so it's fine. Yeah, basically, she is from the Kingdom of Xanten, which is based on a real place, actually. The city of Xanten. Which is in the Lower Rhine area, is what that's called, am Niederrhein, which is like in the border, like close to the border to the Netherlands from Germany, north of Düsseldorf, which people might know. Which is like known to have been a very important spot during Roman times. There have been found like a huge military camp where they now put like a huge outdoor museum where they like show stuff that they dug up in the area. And also, which is like the most important part why I chose that place, is that Xanten is, of course, a very important spot in the Nibelungen saga, which is like the Nibelungen, for those who don't know, is basically the German equivalent to Beowulf. Like it's to Germany what Beowulf is to England, basically. Like the big saga that everybody knows. Hugely influential from the same type of, literary tradition, if you want. I'm sure that somebody better read than me, more well read than me, could put this into better words. But
I
yeah,
think that
that's
gets
where
it, though.
she's from.
And I think it's, I mean, not for nothing, but also it's helpful to have this like authentically coming from someone from that area, right? Like you could just be
I'm not
like, well,
from that
yeah,
area.
but come
I mean,
on.
my family has lived in that area for a while, but that was before I was born.
But your heritage, this is my point, right? If I like my heritage is more distant than yours. Like, I mean,
yeah, I suppose.
So like there's that connection that I
Well,
think
like
is there.
the main thing is that I like the Nibelungen was my introduction to fantasy, basically. To fantasy and history, of course. So that's like a hugely important thing for me. So it will be quite it will come up a few times, like when I draw like inspiration from something that I will draw from that, also from other sagas. So that is like the one saga that I'm the most familiar with, because I actually learned about this in school, like everybody from my region, I'm assuming, because I'm actually from the area where the dragon is from. Like
okay.
what people don't know is that like all the places in the Nibelungen legend, or like at least in later versions, like as always, there's like a billion different versions, most of which did not survive time. But like the most well-known ones has like very specific spots where the story takes place that you can still go to today. One of which is the Dragon's Rock near Bonn, which is like my home turf, basically.
The Dragon's Rock, huh?
Yes, like the place doesn't actually have anything to do with like it's just an old castle.
Neither dragons nor rock. Okay, it does have some rocks.
But like then like later, like in the late 19th century, I guess, or mid 19th century, I don't know when they started that. Like when the whole historic revival movement happened, like neo-Gothic movement and stuff like that. The place became like hugely popular, and like they built a bunch of tourist traps there. Beautiful place though. Can recommend. On a clear day you can see the entire region from up there. Yeah, that's like the background, the farther background of my character.
Very cool.
But most importantly, Runsild is she's like a feisty warrior type, very daring, a bit of daring do. Could in modern times she would have starred in Jackass, I'm pretty sure. And other than that, I still have to find out what kind of person she is.
That's true. A lot of this
is to not pinpoint the stuff down too hard in the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to discover a little bit of it through play. One of the things that we do know, though, is that she has a set of followers, which I do want to mention very briefly. And I've posted this picture, also done by the amazing TariToons here. And you can see that of this group, now she doesn't actually have 7 followers. She only has 5. So 2, yeah, exactly. So 2 of them, which include Ela and Peep, those are Trends characters, followers, and we'll talk about that next week. You don't have to introduce them, but maybe just sort of briefly, like, I don't know, a sentence or 2 on each one. So you can see them on the screen right now of your follower list.
Yeah, so starting top left, we first have Yassib ibn Ghalib, who is a warrior friend of Runsild, who lives in Xanten, or came to Xanten some time ago, together with his husband Arvan ibn Mundi al-Falaki, who is a scholar, and yeah, they just travel the north for reasons of their own. And then there is Genofefa, who is Runsild's childhood best friend and her biggest enabler. Basically, you'd think like in most of these kind of dynamics that you have like the quiet friend who's like a bit like, hey, maybe chill, and she's like, no, do it.
Yeah, why would I chill? No one does that.
Sure, you can eat 5 apples in under a minute, something like that. Then there's Rigmod, who is a very shady old wise woman, who is a CRS, which is like a very important thing in like Germanic history and legend and all that kind of jazz. And then last but very much not least, it's Guy, who doesn't talk much.
Basically just grunts a lot from the way it's been described. Yeah, which, I'm excited to be able to grunt a bunch in that capacity. And I also want to just very quickly, where's my, okay, good. There's that. Right. I want to add 2 audio tracks which come to us from, hang on a second while it's doing it now, which come to us from the Beowulf folks directly that we're using for this music. What's up, Geister? You got the Castles and Crusades source books last night. You were geeking out with the Spouse with the Rules. Tui without Thaco. Yeah. Castles and Crusades I've heard of quite a bit, actually, as being, it's a fairly big deal in terms of, okay, I think that's right. Is it? Okay. Sorry, just making sure that I'm doing this correctly. Yes, okay, that's correct. So if we could add that to the thing now, that would be great. Perfect. Add to game. Thank you. And 1 more of those. So anyway, I've heard about that, and that goes along with like there's a few like that. The OSR is sort of in that category also, of this sort of old school stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's got that kind of old school feel to it. So anyway, the 2 songs that we are adding today are Across the Moors and Rainland, and I will add some more over time. I've added some of my old standbys, Willow in the Light and stuff like that. But I need to make sure that I have the appropriate kind of music for this as we go through. For those of you who missed our Session 0 video, I encourage you to check that out on my channel because you'll be able to see all the details, and we're not going to go over that now, except to say that followers are a big part of this. And as you were going through it, and let me rephrase that, they are a big part of it mechanically, but narratively, this is an important distinction, they're not the biggest part. The biggest part is this person right below me, okay, because this is a duet system, so it's me as the GM, and Tari as Runsild will be doing all of the, sort of the adventuring stuff. But followers will come forward into the background when they are activated and used for various things, and then will recede into the background again because this is a hero story. It's not called Beowulf's best dude on the boat. It's called Beowulf because that was what the hero was about. And so Runsild is similar to this as well. And as we will always try to, we will always want to start this adventure in a simple way. So I'm going to turn on my little echo machine. And oh, wait a minute. I'm going to hold on to that echo machine because Trendane is just subscribed, and Tren may have a significant role in this campaign next week. Good to see you, Tren. I hope all's well. Thank you so much for the resub, my friend. I appreciate it. All right, folks. Then I guess the question I have for everybody in chat is, are you hyped and prepared for the beginning? Session 1, Beowulf, Age of Heroes. Oh my God, Sanguine Haze has just subscribed with Prime. Thank you for the Prime sub, Sanguine Haze. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome. Chat, are you hyped? Are you ready? Can I see those hypes? Can I see that propine? You better lay some kennings on me. Hey, listen, I'll do what I can, Geister, okay? I will do what I can.
He'll do what he can.
I will do what I can. I see what you did there. Hey, what's up, Prince Justin? I like that hype. That's good stuff. All right. In that case, I encourage all of you, please, to settle back in your chairs to or wherever you're watching this, if you're jogging or running and you're listening to us, to prepare your eyes and ears and to return with me now to an ancient time. It is a time of mystery. It is a time of myth and legend, of monsters and heroism. It is a time of terrible darkness, but also hope, light in the darkness. Listen! A far-flung isle, mist-mantled, rune-deep, surrounded by the whale's wave, a speck of footfall firmly set. Upon a blue, bright shield a stone boss boldly sits, battle-battered by billow maidens, ancient bearer of grave and grove. Home of bristle-backed boar, racked by wild winds keening, gulls wheeling screech its scopes, baleful-beaked eagles unlock their word hoard. Bitter brine, not balming beer, is lapped by the word-wrought isle. Once a holy held place, a blessing, not bane to honest kin, in hearth or deep-dwelled slaughter, its leavings glut the gray-cloaked wolf. Gorges the black raven's bent beak, feast silver for Woden's greedy birds. Moon-bleached,
snow-skimmed, shield-breaker, blood-drinker, a pale scabbard for a sword host of battle-bold warriors. Hardened hearth troop wreak their craft, battle lights sing but do not sever. Blood embers swing, harmless their hewing, no war sweat stricken from war needles striking. Forged fires, handiwork of smiths, have no power present there. Weird unraveled, blades bite dulled, fates weave woe in warp and weft. All right. And that's our show. No, I'm just kidding. So
It was nice. Bye.
It was nice. It was a great time, man. Okay. Right. So, Runesild, you have heard this. You have heard this tale, which has been brought to your home and brought to your people. It is a tale of an island which remains under threat. The island itself is not particularly well known. It is not, in fact, even named, at least not by anyone in this land. And yet this story has been brought. Many heroes who could theoretically have gone to do something about it have sort of scoffed at the idea. There are several who have told you that there are very few people that even probably live on that island. There's not much travel back and forth. It's probably just a false story or an attempt for thieves to gather people to come, to arrive. There are some, in fact, even among your own followers, who have some doubts. Yasib is unsure that there would be anyone who would actually live on an island like this or would be important enough to tell stories about in the end. And there have been others who have said the same. But you, Runesild, are not of a mind to avoid people that are in need of help, especially when you are the hero that is capable of doing it. And so, although there is some disagreement among your people about whether you should be going to this, you get to do what you want. And so you're kind of like, that's how this is going to roll, and we're gonna do this. And so, having received this, you are going to be setting off on this voyage to this island. Before you go, I do want to ask if there is anything else here. There's not much information other than the poem, the song that I just read to you. There's not much information beyond it. You do know the island of which they speak, and you know basically the journey that it will take to get there. It will be somewhat dangerous, but doable for a hero. But other than that, you don't have a lot of other information. In fact, the Scope, who's a bard who brought this to you, basically was sort of like when you kind of interrogate them further, is just kind of like, he heard it from someone, and that person heard it from their brother, who heard it from, so you're not even sure how immediately recent the information is, but that's pretty much what you know. But I did want to ask if there's anything else that you want to prepare here before you head off on your journey.
So, for context, what season are we currently in?
So right now we are in, this would be early fall. So we're looking at late September, early October, just enough that some chill has begun to set in the evenings, basically.
And what was the name of the island?
You don't have one. There is that their island is not, the island is not named, at least not by the people here.
Where's it supposed to be?
It is supposedly about a day's journey or so oversea. Sorry, not overland. Oversea. And in fact, you don't even have a specific, the rough sort of general area away from the land, but it's not even marked on a lot of maps. You just happen to know about it because there are a couple of people who have traveled it. It's the kind of place that people mostly just sail by because they don't think there's much there that's of interest most of the time, which is another reason people doubt this maybe even be real.
Yeah, I need to instantly stop thinking about real world geography because I'm immediately like, oh, this is one of the Frisian islands. That would make perfect sense. No.
Well,
no.
I mean,
we're not dealing in real life, real world geography here. It's just inspiration.
What does the
GPS
real
history
say?
What does the GPS say? Okay, so because my character obviously isn't from the coast, she lives a bit further inland on a big river.
That's right.
So
Yeah, that's true. I guess you would be what, like an hour's travel from the coast? You could probably get down there, or 2
Or
hours?
like a day or two.
Oh, you're that far in. Okay. Yeah. So then
Yeah,
it
it's
would.
just like basically river delta, and like it becomes complicated to navigate.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, kind of depends which arm of the river you get. I don't know the actual travel times. I would need to calculate that, which I'm not going to do now. No, instead, I'm like imagining right now that the story was like told to us the night before.
That's
in
correct.
the meat hall.
That's right.
And it's the next morning, and yeah, no, I don't think she would need to prepare anything else, because she would have done that by now. Just like the regular stuff. Not that she's like the smartest person when it comes to planning anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, she would give a few quippy words to her crew and her followers about the journey ahead, how much fun it will be, and hopefully there will be a lot of booze at the end.
And you get the impression that your followers, of course, have total and complete faith in you. But they, as I mentioned, they are a little concerned as well about how unknown. I mean, some of them, I imagine that Rickmod probably knows quite a bit about this island, or well, I shouldn't say that, knows of the stories of this island. And so, and there's definitely some of that. But as far as the sense of like anyone having great details about it, they don't, which is more troubling to some than to others. In fact, the only person who seems completely at ease with all of this, relatively speaking, is Guy, who comes up to you just before you're about to depart to head down to the coast, which is about a day's journey, just before you're about to head out to the boat. And Guy comes to you and gives you a strange stone, and the stone is about yay big or so, not very large, but on the stone is a crudely drawn circular serpent that kind of spirals around the stone, and he gives it to you and then says and points at it and goes, "There," and then turns and walks away. Which is pretty much that pretty much, by the way, is classic Guy. Guy very seldom actually says anything more than grunt and then walks away. But having said that, though, he very seldom says stuff without reason. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Runsild holds the stone in her hand, turns it over and under, has a look at it. It's like, okay, I guess, and puts it in her pocket. Unless anything else catches her eyes about the stone, like anything specific.
Not particularly, except that, but it is very clearly a serpent, and it doesn't look like it doesn't look as much like what you have heard in the stories as like a sea serpent, as much as it is sort of a large, looks almost like a kind of a large sort of land serpent with two large fangs that circles around the stone. You do notice, though, that as you sort of put the stone away, that you see Rickmod looking at you, and Rickmod kind of sort of nods sagely, but doesn't say anything.
You know anything about this thing?
I know what a serpent is on a stone.
Great. I don't suppose you called upon our fortune yet for this journey ahead of us?
No, but the time has come if you are prepared. We must make sure we know which way our path may lead.
Downriver?
At the beginning, but then we must proceed across the sea and find this island.
I'm sure there's enough islands to find. One of them has got to be it.
We'll see whether it's the right one, dearest. We'll see.
What's the worst that could happen?
She kind of raises an eyebrow, and you see Aben, who's kind of like preparing, is like cinching up like some sacks and stuff. Just kind of shakes his head. So this chat is where we are going to create the portent. This is where the voyage is going to be affected by this. And the way this works is, and I realize that, these glasses are for computer use. This, on the other hand, is also for computer and reading, okay? I got to be able to do both so I can actually read it. I read that whole poem, I want you all to know, in like 0-point font. As I was like, what? So regardless. Okay. So every adventure in Beowulf begins with this portent. And as you are preparing the goods that are being laden and brought down to the ship, and then, of course, the ship being prepared and stocked for the sea, omens are consulted. And it is Rickmod, who is well known as a wise woman and who generally has some knowledge of things. You can see Rickmod right there in the center, who is preparing this portent for the use of everyone else. So we're going to use an abbreviated version of this. When we get into further adventures, we will develop this portent even further. But this is what we're going to do. There's basically 3 pools of inspiration here, chat. We have a GM pool. That's me. I'm the game master, which is also the red pool. That's opposed as opposed to Deadpool.
The thing in Roll20, like the overlay
the actual
that I made.
Yes.
The tokens.
Right. Okay, so yeah, you mean the background? Because
yes.
Okay.
If you have that prepared, I've got that.
So the thing is, I have literally 30 different pages that I made last night, but I didn't do that one because I have to figure out how to put it into everything default. So I will. I promise.
We'll just keep count manually. Okay.
No, these are Prince Justin. These are progressive lenses actually, and I love them. The issue is that the in between the computer screen is not quite as good. The in between middle screen where I'm right here, so I usually have separate glasses for those. But yeah, no, these progressives I've been using they're super useful for like everyday use. Just to be clear. So anyway, we have the red GM pool, which currently has 0 inspiration, but we'll get some inspiration in it. We have the blue follower pool for followers like Rick Mod and Guy and the rest of the gang, which also has 0 inspiration in the minute. And then we have the hero pool, the player pool, which is a green pool. And the way that we do the portents here is as follows. That also has 0 inspiration at the moment. Okay, so that is as follows. So first of all, I am going to ask Tari to roll 2d3. So in this case, we're looking at basically like, if you can do it online, then that's great. We can probably do it on Roll20 actually. So you're going to roll 2d3.
Okay, then I'm going to do 2d6 and 1 and 2 is 1, 2 and 3 is...
That's fine.
2 and okay.
So this is going to start with this one. Yep. Okay, so we have 3.
So that's a 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, right.
And
yeah, that's right.
Another 2.
That's a 2 and a 2. That's right. Okay, so 2, 2, which is, that is broken. It is a follower inspiration, however. So that means we have got 1 inspiration to the follower pool, and the word is broken.
The bird is the word.
The bird is the word. Okay. So that is the adjective. And then we need 2d3 again for the first noun. So broken what is the question?
That's a 1.
Yep. Okay.
And another
and
1.
A 1. Okay. Interesting. So 1 and 1. Grief.
Ugh. This is
grief.
Starting amazingly well.
Yes.
Here.
No. Super impressive. Okay. So 1 and 1. Okay. So we have 2 and 2 broken, and then we have 1 and 1, which is grief. And grief, by the way, is red, so that means an inspiration goes to me. So we have 1 inspiration for the followers, 1 inspiration for the game master. 2 and 2 is broken, 1 and 1 is grief. Okay, and now we need 2 more like that, starting with adjective first. So again, 2d3 twice.
That's 3.
Okay.
And another 3. What
wow,
is
this is very consistent, I know. So that is worthy. That's better.
That's more like it. That's also a green, so now we get a player inspiration. Hero inspiration, I should say. So now we have 1 inspiration in each pool. So we have worthy. And then one more time for the noun, please.
Yes, sir. That's a 2 and another 2.
It's a 2 and a 2, which is wisdom.
Wisdom.
2,
Something that Runselt notably lags.
But Rickmod does not, though. So that means that we are now dealing with broken grief, worthy wisdom.
What inspiration does wisdom?
Oh, sorry. And wisdom is, I believe, wisdom is blue, which is follower pool again. So that means we have 2 inspirations for. Let me see. So we got 1 inspiration.
1 for GM, 2 for followers, and 1 for the hero.
Yep. Okay.
I'm keeping notes.
Yes. No, that's good. So
of course,
that
the first
means
thing
that
I did was to do a little doodle, as you do.
Yes.
Doodle, as you doodle.
Oh, that Tari could roll D3 directly. Well, yeah, but Tari's also using the roll the Roll20 roller. But yes, could theoretically do that in chat as well.
Oh yeah, I could probably just punch in /1d3 or something.
Okay.
Nope, that doesn't work. /roll 1d3. Yeah, that works. Okay.
So that also works in there too.
Roll space 1d3 does the thing.
Okay.
Ookily.
So, and we will come back to the impact of that portent just a minute. I do want to point out that it says, by the way, the GM pool is a terrifying addition to the 5e rules. I was like, all right, my inspiration is a terrifying addition. Oh, you did mention Roll20. Oh, my bad. Oh, Roll20 chat. Oh, sorry, Effect Life. I was literally like, I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's something different. So, okay. Right. So let me get rid of these so I am not confused by that. Right. Okay. Save that. Good. Wonderful. All right. Let's get some music going here, chat, shall we? Let's go with Across the Moors, I think. Okay. Lovely. All right. So the journey begins with a relatively sunny sort of day as the morning breaks. It is a crisp early fall morning, and so you can feel the sort of the hint that winter is not that far off, but nonetheless the sun is warm, and as you proceed as you set out with your followers, everyone is in a relatively good mood and seems sort of ready for this adventure. There is high singing. At one point, you notice as you're going along that even Guy, who of course, seldom says anything, but you think you might have even caught him making the slightest of smiles as Genefifa is kind of singing a little melodic song, which both Yassib and Aban insist is not the way that you do that. Like, no, the song actually, this is how the song really goes, and it's their version of the song. It's very pleasant sort of banter as you go along. But if you ever remember the experience for chat or for Tari, if you can remember out of game for a moment, the experience of waking up when it's a foggy morning, and then over time the fog burns off, as they say, so that by the time you get to the middle of the day, it's more sunny and everything else. This is the opposite. As you go along, the fog begins to roll in, and the temperature dips a little bit. The sun is hidden behind clouds, and then eventually seems to have vanished almost entirely and is replaced with a kind of gray rain. And the mood among both yourself and your followers changes as a consequence. You feel the clouds sort of sink. Your clothes, as you move, your cloak and so on, becomes damp from the surrounding. It's not a downpour, but just from the
as you're walking through these clouds and the rain, you can feel the moisture kind of weighing you down. So as you walk along, there are some, you can hear some birds crying in the distance, some occasional far off howls, perhaps maybe of a distant wolf or something like that. But no real small creatures, no rabbits or foxes or anything like that draws near. And as you proceed along, the crying of the birds, or at least the singing of the birds, sort of dies away as well. And for a good hour or so, maybe even more than that of your travel, you walk along almost in silence. Much of that day proceeds the same way. You were able to stop for food. You were accosted by no one. You do once see over a hill, you do see a wagon being drawn along slowly by a horse, but it seems to be just maybe a horse and a farmer. They do not stop to even pay attention to you, apparently, or acknowledge you. And otherwise, it is simply gray and rainy.
In the Rhine Delta. No, sorry.
Small ones, in fairness. No, I mean, yeah. That's fair. Yeah, hill is
basically we are going through the Netherlands now, which are called that because it's very low there.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, I'm talking about small waves though in the landscape, basically, which I assume there's a little bit of that. But no, that's true. It's definitely not a mountain. I don't mean to speak. So as you're sort of proceeding along,
a mountain.
And you notice if you are going through the Netherlands, everything I'm describing about the dampness is about right, I think.
Yeah,
fucking
tell me about it.
So the humidity is something else. That evening, as you have set watch, you are asleep, Runsild, when someone sort of kind of pushes your shoulder to wake you up, not in a kind of but just sort of wants to wake you, and you look up to see Yasib is there, and he says, "I thought you would wish to see this. Come."
Yeah, sure. And she gets up and rubs her eyes.
And he asks you to come along, and then brings you to basically there is this sort of dip in the ground, and he sort of stands in it and then steps up on it, and he points out and he says, "It has been like that now for some hours, but it has grown brighter." And he points, and you can see in the direction of where you've been going, which is towards the coast. You can see there is the grayish, the darkness basically all around you, right? But then there is this unearthly greenish, purplish glow coming from the area of the coastline.
Have I ever seen something like this before?
No.
It's like, she stands there at the, what's it called, railing?
Mm-hmm.
It blinks a few times, rubs her eyes again.
Yeah, she's not on the boat yet, to be clear. Not at the boat yet. We're heading towards the coast. This is the travel to the coast. So he's pointing in the direction of the coast.
Oh, I thought we are taking the boat down river to...
It would take too long, I think. You were able to cut across to where the island is. Because this way... I mean, it could be done either way, but I assumed that it was just sort of across land to where the boat is going to meet you. Because they have to, there was some repairs and stuff like that being done.
No, that's fine.
Tomorrow is when you were planning to arrive at the coast, was the theory.
I see.
And it kind of shimmers.
She rubs her eyes to, make sure that, she's actually seeing that, and it's like... What's happening?
You can see the light in the distance.
Yeah. Why is there purple light in the distance?
And he looks at you and kind of gives you his usual small grin, and he says, "If I knew that, I would be the one in charge of this band. It is my job to explain to you and show you what is here. I have not seen something quite like this before, although in other sea travels there are sometimes strange lights in the sky.
I do know, though, that lights that are unusual are not a good portent or omen. It does not mean we must turn around, but it means we must be careful, yes?
Right. I mean, we probably should be careful anyway, or so people keep telling me. I'm sure it's fine. Somebody's just having a party there. I don't know.
This covers the whole sky, by the way, like as you're looking. And he just sort of like looks down all the way and then like looks all the... It is quite a party.
Maybe we can go party with them. Is Rickmod awake yet? Maybe she knows what's up.
No, I figured you would wish... I decided you would wish to be alerted first.
How far away do we think is this?
Well, you were probably going to be getting to the coast maybe another 3 to 4 hours in the morning, so it's got to be a few hours away from, if you had to guess.
In that case, yeah, I guess we just continue as planned. And yeah, as soon as people are awake, like as soon as Rickmod is awake, Brunhild would want to inquire her what she thinks about this.
Do you want to wait for the morning to wake her, like, or let you know?
Yes.
Okay, so in the morning,
she's an old lady. She needs to sleep.
Yes, no, for sure. In the morning, as you might have expected, the classic, the light is no longer there in the morning when you look up. But when you but when she wakes, how do you want to explain it to her? What do you want to say?
Yeah, basically same thing that Yasib said. Yeah, like there was like weird purple lights at the horizon in that direction.
Were they getting brighter or dimmer?
Well, they're gone now, so I guess dimmer.
And she nods slowly, and she says, "There are often strange lights in journeys. The lights, the ones to worry about, are the ones that don't go away."
Sure.
And she goes,
"Right. Well, let's keep going." And goes to pack things up and
okay. So she goes along with that. The remainder of the trip down is essentially uneventful. And when you arrive at the coast, you can see that your ship has been prepared. The ballast has been loaded onto the ship. For those of you who are not familiar, by the way, chat, the ship is loaded with this ballast, which are stones about the size of maybe like a cantaloupe or a melon, like a bunch of those stones that weigh down the ship. And, maybe that's a little big for it, but maybe around that though, which gives weight to the ship. And the reason is that that's what allows it to ride low enough in the water that it doesn't lean over one side or the other. It's got to be able to, cut through the waves rather than sort of rocking in both directions. The ship does have a sail so that the mast is stood up in the keelson and supported by the mast fish, which are these removable blocks that lock in place. And you have ropes that are tied, which are called stays, fore and aft of the ship, and shrouds, which are tied to keep the mast in place. I point all this out because as we're getting onto the ship, it's important to recognize that this is not, the Love Boat, right? This is not a cruise ship. This is a ship
it could be.
Well, not very likely.
All we have to do is put little paper umbrellas into our ration water drinks.
Is that all? And
yeah.
Then it all works out, does it? So I've put some of the art that you can see here, which may give you a little bit of a sense of what it looks like, what the ship is like relative to the stuff that you're about to traverse. The sail, at least initially,
is unattached and furled because you have to row out from the shore before you put up the sail. There are benches and oar holes for the crew. Supplies have been lashed onto the deck under the benches along the inside edge of the ship. And there are shield locks, which allow for both your followers and your crew to display the shields on the side of the ship. But you don't do that, at least at the very beginning, because the weather, you are told by the crew of the ship when you arrive, looks rough. In fact, some of the crew looks a little nervous about it. And so it's not a good idea to have the ship, to have the shields up there. You do that when you're like coming into land and you're like, check me out, like, put all the shields up so you can look super dramatic. But in terms of seaworthiness, yeah.
That the weather at the North Sea in fall isn't the most beautiful, wonderful weather.
Not quite as good as what you might have hoped.
So, like, you, of course, wouldn't know that, but I know. It's fucking disgusting what it is. Like, the wind, like, basically will make your jacket stand up, like, horizontally behind you. That's how strong the cold, moist wind is.
Yep. It's going to be lovely. One thing that I don't think we decided, Tari, what is the name of your ship?
It is called the Otter.
The Otter. Okay.
The Otter.
I like it. Ship name, the Otter. Okay. All right. That is important to know. Okay. So, the Otter rows out from shore, and as it rows out from shore, and you can feel sort of the sea waves, the waves are beginning to kind of roll in. A faint mist sort of sets in, and of course you've obviously had that experience as we just described. This mist is the kind which, although in some contexts it can feel sort of bracing, and it always at the beginning of a journey probably feels that way to you because it's the start of moving towards something glorious and heroic. But it also cuts through the cloak. It cuts into your skin. It feels almost like little needles coming into the skin of your face. And as you sort of are like, it's like, ugh, right? Not super pleasant as you were setting off along the water. After you've gotten far enough out from the shore, the sail is lifted, and there is that, the one thing about the North Sea, as you mentioned, no problem with wind, so there's no problem with being becalmed or anything, and the sail, as the wind fills it, and soon you are making your way across the wild waved sea. Important to recognize, by the way, that as you're doing this, as the boat sort of rocks up and down, there are challenges that you have to deal with as you go. And part of the, you always try to keep the ship at this time within sight of some land to the extent you can. When you have to take longer journeys, that becomes something where you have to make judgments based on how the ocean looks, where the waves look, where the cloud formations are, stuff like that, to be able to determine and sort of place your way. So that means that we have got our number now based upon the portent that was come up with at the beginning by Rick Mod. You remember, chat, that it was broken grief, worthy wisdom. And so the first number here, which we said was a 2, it is a C challenge, not a surprise. And then also the entry of that, and that second one that we had there was a 1. Okay. So as you are sort of sailing along on the waves, you are probably about maybe 2 or 3 hours in, and the waves have become even more wild. The Otter, of course, as you know, Runsild, is a super, very capable ship, right? Very seaworthy. But one of the reasons that it was called the Otter, that you called it the Otter, is the fact that although very agile and capable of moving fairly quickly across the waves, it is not what you would call super level steady, right? It kind of moves up and down quite a bit with the waves. And so the waves have pulled and sort of pulled and moved the boat around quite a bit. And as you go along, you see that light that I mentioned before, the purplish green light, is beginning to, you begin to see sort of on the horizon again. And Yasib sort of comes up next to you and quietly says over your shoulder, "It is the same light I saw last night."
It would seem so. So how late is it currently?
So right now, about 4 hours to get down. So this would be about maybe early afternoon, maybe like 2 in the afternoon, although it's very gray and misty, but yes.
Well, it's the North Sea. It's always gray and misty.
Oh, yeah. Right. I wanted to specify in case people were like, so it's nice and sunny. It's not.
Yeah, sometimes. Is the light coming in the is the light in the direction where we were traveling directly, or is it a bit off?
And it seems to be coming towards you. In fact, as you're going along, you can hear like a little crackling, as if of thunder, and you can see that the green and purple skies ahead of you that are coming towards you, it seems, are also crackling with a kind of electrical energy. And some of your crew now has started to notice and started to point out. And again, Afifa kind of looks at you wide-eyed. Rick Mod just sort of nods and sort of is whispering something to herself. Yasib and Aban are sort of standing by each other near you, of course. And Guy, stoic as always, is standing with his hand strongly grasping the side of the boat, staring at this purple green light. Hi, Big Boss.
I assume that's a captain, right?
Yes, the captain of the crew, who answers to you, but yes.
Yes. Yeah, I turn to the captain. I'm like, is a storm coming? What's happening?
Maybe. It's not a storm I've seen before, but it looks like some that I've heard tell. Storms that come this way. Storms that keep those from going where they should not. And he sort of, and this is kind of, old sea dog type, right? Like, super grizzled, like, like he could be like 40 or 95, but, clearly has been on a ship most of his life, so it seems, with this like wild shock of beard. And so you can see, but he's got these fiercely intense blue eyes that are just sort of, gazing out at the storm. And in fact, you can even see some of the crackling energy above of the skies reflected in his eyes as they come closer.
Well, why don't we go find out what it is?
So the crew kind of looks at you, and you can see again, Avifa kind of gives you this, like sort of, type of really type of look, and the captain sort of like gazes at you for a moment, and then, as you say, all right, to it, and like sort of starts barking orders at the crew. The eldritch sort of lights and energy crackles, and the sky, the lights in the sky come closer and closer. And after a minute, you are in the middle of this green and purple energy. And the crackling energy actually sort of, almost runs around the ship itself, so that the sail is lit up in this energy, and the top of the mast and the oars, which are all pulled up now because they're not rowing, obviously, but they're pulled up out of their oarlocks, are there. And you can, as you sort of look around, you're kind of seeing, and then you hear one of them, and you sort of look around and you can see that it's Rick Mod saying, "It appears that the sorcerer's eyes are upon us. The witches are watching, my dear." You can see the crew's kind of freaked out.
Well, let them watch. I hope there's going to be something interesting to see.
Perhaps.
And she's standing at the helm. Is it called the helm, the front of the ship?
That's right.
Yes. She like very excitedly looks over the sea towards the light.
Okay.
Holding on with one hand to the helm, I guess.
And Genevieve says,
where the dragon head goes.
Right next to the figurehead of the dragon. Yep. So,
yeah.
I thought it would be like an otter figurehead. You know, like an otter look.
I don't know.
We'll figure that out. I can't wait to see.
Maybe it was supposed to be a dragon, but the woodworker kind of fucked up and it ended up looking like an otter.
I just can't wait to see the artwork of the otter dragon ship that I have no doubt. I'm just joking, Tony.
Don't make me draw.
No, you don't. No, not now. Not now.
Objects.
Not now. Not now. You don't need to do that. I just thought it was funny. Okay, so as you're standing up there, Genevieve says, Runesild, this is not. None of this is good, and you can see the sort of like light sort of almost playing near, like see her face lit up in this purple and green light from the waves around her and the sky. What are we doing to do?
You know how to swim, right?
To swim? You mean we're going to be not? You know? And she looks like kind of very like wide-eyed. Maybe this was a mistake to do this. We don't even know if this island, if there's anything on this island that you're going to. We don't know.
Well, we will find out. That's the point of this, right?
And then...
Come on, and she like slaps her on the back a bit too hard.
Simultaneously with that, when she slaps her on the back, there is a crackling, and suddenly Genevieve is outlined in this green and purple, what looks almost like flame or fire. And her hair stands on end, and her eyes glitter, and she has this horrified, like, expression and look. I need you to make a saving throw for Genevieve, please. Ooh. So this is a wisdom saving throw. Now, I need to double check and see whether followers work from their own stats. I don't remember. I think it may be...
God, I hope not. That's like 5 extra character sheets to keep track.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. Because this is a brand new system as well to me, to chat, there'll be times where things like this come up. So I need to double check. Let's see. So I think it's probably using yours, but... Okay. Right, I know about that. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so yes. So it should be then, it should be your wisdom then that we're going to be using.
Fantastic.
Oh, actually, no, I take that back. No, all followers have +0 to all of their ability checks and saving throws. Never mind. So just make just a straight D20. Yep, sorry.
Well, I'm assuming if they had a certain gift or burden that might
that could affect it. Yes, in fact, there's some. In fact, you should check that.
I am. It's engage, rescues a hero, baker, and brewer, which I assume don't.
No, I don't think so. Unless she wants to throw up some bread, but I don't think that's going to be.
15.
Okay. She sort of looks sort of hard, sort of terrified, and the flame kind of licks around her, and then Rickmod comes up and says, "The witches can touch what they will, but you are under no obligation to take the touch. Fear not, my dear. Trust in Runesild. She knows what she's doing." And Rickmod gives you a very, like, Runesild looks at you very much in the, like sort of raises her eyes and then kind of nods slightly towards Genevieve, very much in the time to, help her out way, sort of thing, like time to comfort her, time to say something. Genevieve.
Wait for her. I guess Runsild, instead of saying something, she would just let out like big ol' hearty laughter with like her hips put into her in her sides and like ha 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 ha, like a long laughter, just like a bit cringe probably, but she doesn't know that. She is a bit cringe without being aware of it.
And even as that laugh happens, the purple and green sort of dissipates around Genevieve, and she kind of still looks like she's sort of breathing shallowly and kind of staring down at herself, but is clearly unharmed. And a few of your followers are all sort of looking at you, and then the captain of the crew says, well, it looks like the witches want no part of this one, eh? And everyone's like, ah! And there's this sort of big cheer that goes up among the crew. And the purple and green begin to fade, and suddenly you are through to the other side of it, you can see now. Behind you now, at the stern of the boat and going into the distance, is this sort of purple and green. And Yasib comes up to you and says, that was well done, but that was not a natural thing, and it is possible that it shall return to us, or we to it.
Well, when the time comes, we'll see it, right? And she lets out another hearty laugh. Ha 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 ha.
And indeed, having successfully passed through that part of the challenge, you were able to make your way further along towards the land. And in fact, because you managed to get through that without serious problems, one way or the other, relatively speaking, you find yourself arriving after the better part of, let's say, 2 days or so. You find yourself arriving close to the island, although not perfectly there quite yet. There is one more challenge to be dealt with. But you can see yourself now probably within a day's journey based on where you believe, you've been told, the captain thinks, that the island is to be found. And so that brings us to our second portent, which is the worthy wisdom that we had here before. And so, looking at the worthy wisdom. Okay. When you get to within a few hours of the shore, suddenly the wind, which has been pushing you all along, dies to almost nothing. The wind drops completely. Your sail hangs slack. And you are simply sitting there, as I said before, becalmed. Now, as we talked about, this is exceedingly unusual for the area of the world where we are. On the Whale Road, it's usually not likely that you're going to have problems with wind. Nonetheless, there is no wind at all for either direction of the ship. The captain orders that the sail be drawn back and that the oars be brought out, and so the crew begins to row. But as the crew rows, and you can see yourself drawing closer to what looks like it might be just a speck on the horizon, but that probably is the island. As you're drawing closer to it, it's taking forever to get anywhere at all. It's as if the sea itself is working against you, and you are having difficulty cutting through the water, either with wind or with the oars. So I need you to choose 3 followers of yours who are going to pitch in to help the crew. They are going to make strength checks to see if they can help push us through the rest of the way. Now, warning, if they fail these strength checks, they will become spent, which means you won't be able to use the followers later until certain things are met, until certain obligations are met.
What kind of things are met?
There are certain
Give me an
rest
example.
states, there are certain rest states that allow you to do that. Sometimes when you are brought to, for example, a mead hall, you sure hope there's a mead hall at this island that you're going to, that they may be able to find rest and will be recovered as a consequence. And it's possible that if they make the checks, they won't be spent at all. But clearly, it's more than what would normally be expected. And the crew, by the way, is muttering to itself because this is also a bad omen.
I guess in that case, Yi, Genoveva, and Arvan.
Okay. All right. Let's have. Who do you want to go? What order do you want them to go in?
With what I said just now. So
okay,
Gi,
so Guy
Genoveva,
first.
Arvan.
Okay. All right. Let's start with Guy. Now, I will mention, by the way, that this is an example where you have your inspiration pool for your followers. This is a situation where you could use an inspiration to get an advantage on this check if you wish. Or you could ask chat to see if they want to inspire the followers. Or you could just have them, good luck and Godspeed. It's sort of up to you as to how you want to handle it. But you have 2 in that inspiration pool for the followers.
And otherwise, these rolls are also straight 20s, unless there's like a gift or a burden.
That is correct. That's correct. And just before you do the roll, so Big Boss, you can always inspire under 2 conditions. One, if you sub to the channel at tier 2, or if you support the Patreon at $10 or up, then you get an inspiration to use every month. You also have 2 channel inspirations, which are based on channel points. You may have enough channel points to get one. I don't know. There are 2 of those available every month, and I know for a fact that we haven't had anyone redeem them this month. So you have 50K. Then go ahead and click on that 50K, Big Boss. Click on that one, and then you can redeem that one immediately if you want to inspire. All right, there you go. Thank you, Big Boss. So, Big Boss, if you wish to inspire, you can give that inspiration. And what I'll say to Tari is that you can use that for one of your followers. So, you have to decide beforehand, but, you could do it on Guy, or you could use it for, whatever.
Though it should be mentioned, I do still have inspiration. So,
you have inspiration from
the portent, 1 inspiration for followers.
Oh, you have 2, actually, from the followers. You have
right,
2 for the followers.
Yeah,
that's right.
So.
And also, now Big Boss has given you another one for that.
Nice, thank you.
That's going, by the way, to the follower pool, Big Boss, I assume. Is that going? So it's a little bit different than the way we normally do it with it, where it happens right at the thing. Is this going to? So, Big Boss, is this going to the follower pool? Is my question, as opposed to the player pool, or I guess my pool. I guess chat can also inspire the GM. Hadn't thought about that. That's a new one.
Oh, that's a horrible one.
DM's choice. I will give that to the follower because I'm guessing that that's probably where Tori would want it for this. So you've got a pool of 3 inspiration now to use. Thank you, Big Boss. Okay, Tori, who do you want to use it on, and under what circumstances?
What is the first check?
First check, they are actually all going to be strength/athletics checks. So,
okay.
And they're all 0. Followers have +0, unless there's unless one of their gifts.
Yeah,
like you said,
I
does
checked. Guy gets advantage on dex-based checks and saves.
Okay, yeah. No.
But not strength. Plum. Yeah, I guess first one, Guy gets advantage.
Okay, then let's have you do that.
Advantage.
Also, Chad, I know the dice roller's a little small.
Yeah.
I will fix that
we need to
given
figure
time.
that out.
We'll work it out.
That's a 19.
Very nice. Okay, so that first one goes very well. Guy sort of pulls very strongly at the oars, and the thing about Guy, which has always been something which you've admired about him, of course, is the fact that even though he doesn't say much, just his presence is enough to kind of give people some courage when there's a strength-based thing around. So, he's pulling at the stuff, and the other crew are like murmuring, and then they're pulling it through. So you can see that the boat is starting to move, but it's still slow, very slow. And of course, Guy is not not a Titan. Like he's only he is not Thor. Let's be clear. And so he has limits as a human. So that means the second one has to jump on board. And I think you said,
yeah, is that okay if I switch those around?
yes, sure. Who do you want the second one to be?
I would like to send in Yasib.
Okay, let's have Yasib do it then. So again, you're inspiring.
And
did you use
Bare-blooded?
I should have forgotten. I forgot to ask, by the way. You did use one of those inspirations, right? Just then?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you're down to 2 in the follower inspiration. Okay, so you're using Yasib.
Yes,
Okay.
he automatically gets advantage on strength
all right.
based rolls.
Then you can hold on to that inspiration and not use that for him.
Yes. Ooh, that's a 6.
It may not have it in there because right now, Triffid, because the inspiration. Let me just check something. Yeah, okay. No, it's working. It shouldn't have told you. I think it's, well, for one thing, don't do the @ though. You would have to do ! Inspire and then just TariToons, not @ TariToons. And then the other thing is, because I think the @ is screwing it up. That's my guess. Sorry, Tari. Hold on one second. I just want to make sure this is working.
All good. I will just read some topical lecture
So-
literature in the meantime.
Big Boss, this is not going to work for you because your inspiration is not official. It like you have it and you immediately used it, so I didn't add you in. Let me see. No, it's okay. So it seems to be working on my end, I think. I believe. I love that message that Arcanus Bot gives. It's very funny. You're the broadcaster anyway. Okay. All right. Sorry. Right. Okay. So second one is going to be, so you're going to do the bare-blooded. So what did you get on the
6.
with inspiration? Ooh, okay.
No, with advantage.
I mean, with their what's what I mean, advantage, yeah. So 6 was the best one, huh? Well, So as Yasib
Don't you kill him off.
pulls, suddenly the oar strikes him in the throat and he falls out. No. Yasib pulls and pulls and gives his best strength, and the boat barely moves, and at a certain point you see his like, there is something God's cursed about this water. And he kind of sinks down. So he is spent for the moment. I have made a note about that. We'll come back to how he gets unspent in a minute.
His age is catching up with him.
That must be what it is. So we have a third one of these that we're going to do, yes?
That would be Genofifa.
Okay, and Genefifa, you're using one of the other inspirations, right? Which will
Correct.
leave you with 1 in that pool.
That was a wrong click. Clickety-clack. And a natural 20
Wow.
for Genofifa. She's like,
Yeah, maybe Genefifa's
go.
like, perhaps because Genefifa is happy to be done with like witch, crazy witch light and everything. And perhaps because she was in some way sort of, as she's often been around you, your kind of like everything's fine sort of approach has meant that she's sort of learned to trust that things tend to be fine actually quite a bit. And so she pulls at the oars, and even as Yasib is like kind of, as she pulls at the oars, and both she and Guy pull at the oars, the boat begins to move and shift again. And soon enough, the boat is making its way up and down the other side of the wave. And then, after about maybe 15, 20 minutes, the sail fills with wind again. And some of the crew kind of mutters unhappily about that because what the hell was that, right? Like, it's one thing to say, oh, the wind is starting to rise, oh, it's starting to fall. But it literally was like you went through a dead zone, which is, again, not the way that these things normally work. But
no wind at the North Sea. That
exactly,
doesn't
happen. But in this case, you did at least get past it, and did so enough that you are actually able to make good enough time that you arrive you can see the island
sunset time. So at the end part of basically the second day-ish of travel, you're able to see the island. And I have the island from the sea at sunset picture for you, which I'm going to show you right here. There we go.
That about looks accurate for the North Sea.
Yes. Yeah, I know, right? It takes a UK-based crew, I think, to be able to know everything about this.
Yeah.
The island looks like
not enough seagulls that are shitting all over the place.
Yeah, no, that's true. The island looks like a giant single stone which is dropped into the sea. And as the captain points at it and the crew, sort of the weary crew, kind of the small cheer goes up, and the ship seems to go even faster now that they're within close to their destination as they hurry around tending to ropes and such. From a distance, it looks quite modest in size, actually, Runesild, but as the ship gets closer, you can see just how tall the cliffs are. The cliffs on the edge of this island range in height from 50 to maybe 100 feet high, and the sea booms against them, wearing these nooks and crannies across their face. And as you get closer, you can see just the faintest tinge of green. It looks like the land is covered in kind of a heath moor, like a kind of a thin and tight green heath grass, and slopes unevenly across the mass of the island. So there's some grass in some places and some just gray rock and stone. But one thing you can say for sure is that the high cliffs seem to surround the island all the way around it. It's no wonder that people don't generally stop here very much, because this is not what you'd be like, quick on and off and then let's get going. At first, in fact, you're worried about the idea that maybe it's not available at all to be sort of gone to. But then you're able to, as you sort of move around the back of it, you're like, oh, okay. And the ship, as it goes around the back, you can see there is a natural bay on the southern side where there's basically a split in the cliffs. And so you have this sort of uncomfortable experience of as you come into the land, you pass by these two towering cliffs on either side, and the boat and everyone on it is sort of silent as you glide by, looking, of course, very carefully to make sure that you're not about to run aground on some rocks or anything like that as you go. Which means that allows me to lead you folks to this. Because as you were coming into the bay, let's go like there. There we go. As you were coming into this, you can see that there is a small light from above which is guiding you to safe harbor. And you can see the beach ahead. Now, you have a decision to make here, Runesild, because pulling up the ship onto the beach is an easy task for the crew. And once they're there, they immediately set about, securing the ship with wooden props and sitting up, and makes sure that the boat doesn't get sucked out by the waves again and all that stuff that they have to do, and setting up the camp and so on. And so now the question is how you want to manage your ship and your crew and its appearance on the island. So you could head off with your followers and just leave the crew there to fend for themselves. That's okay, although the crew is it's a boat crew, right? Like, it's not a fighter crew. You could also leave one of your followers with the crew to sort of organize the defenses and so on if you wanted to do that. So it's up to you as to whether you want to leave a follower. I guess you could leave several if you wish, but do you want to leave any of your followers behind to kind of manage the crew, or are you just like, good luck, crew, Godspeed, type of thing?
So we have like a relatively good idea how large this island is, right?
Yes.
It was basically a small rock.
Yeah, well, it is not it's a reasonable size. When you got closer, you saw it was bigger than you might have thought. So it's a decent sized island.
Okay. So first of all, when we come up to the shore, Unsida would be like the first one to jump off the ship and start pulling the ship up to the shore.
Okay.
And help with securing everything. And like once everything is like at that point, she would like, I guess, first, like while we are all setting stuff up, she would first send Guy to do like a very quick scouting.
Okay.
Like not go out of like view from us, more like go up on the next biggest rock and have a look around, basically.
Okay.
To like see what's an immediate vicinity.
I'm going to have you make since you're activating him for this, I'm going to have you make a perception check for him. So this is, again, he has +0, so you're just doing a straight D20 roll on this. And you could use an inspiration if you want or not. You got 1 inspiration left in the follower pool.
I do not want to. That's a 12.
Okay. Yeah, so he comes back after a few minutes, and he says, ugh, and he kind of grunts over his shoulder and sort of jerks his head over his shoulder as if asking you to sort of follow.
Yeah, I follow.
When you get to the top of, and they're unlike the Netherlands place that we were just talking about, unlike this river delta, there's lots of rocks and, kind of moors and stuff like that here in between the rocks and cliffs. But when you climb over the rock, you can see this picture that I've put there on Roll20 that's on the stream. What it looks like basically is there's a ruined tower that you can see looming up against the gathering darkness. But in front of it, in the shadow, is what looks like a hut. And there is definitely a light that is coming out of the hut. You can see that there is, beyond it, there may be stairs entering the tower, possibly. But the hut itself is the thing. You can see a little bit of smoke kind of escaping through the reed thatched roof at the top. So there's that. So that's pretty much what you see. But no one has come down to greet you as of yet, although you haven't actually revealed your presence too much other than the boat. So it's definitely occupied by someone though, because that's smoke coming up from a fire.
While we were here and having a little bit of a look around, is there any obvious, I want to say, kind of tracks or signs as to what kind of wildlife might be living here besides birds?
I will have you make a nature check for me, please.
Natuurlijk. God, she's so great at that. That's
13.
13, yeah.
There may or may not be some bird tracks and things like that around, but they look like, sort of maybe like seabirds, but it's very hard to tell, and they're all very confused. They're all fairly small. There's no huge prints or anything like that you can see, and they all appear to be in the sand, not on the rocks or anything you can obviously see. The stairs even leading up towards the hut that you can see in the picture are carved out of the stone, so there's no tracks that you see there.
Right. Okay, in that case, we would return. And Runfield would delegate that she herself, Rickmott, and Arvan together go to where the light is coming from.
Okay.
To that hut or whatever that
and
is.
the others are staying with the ship then?
Well, yes, Yasip is spent, you said, right?
Yes.
So he can't come with us anyway, and so leaving Guy behind to protect people should the need arise, so she does think that's going to be the case. Either way, she thinks she's more than capable enough to protect her followers who are with her. And because she thinks there's some magical stuff going on, being Rickmott and Arvan, because he didn't have anything to do yet. So,
okay.
The three of them.
By the way, in case, just because I wanted to make sure we were clear about this, to unspend, to basically get a follower back, it will be after you take a long rest. So okay. once the hero takes a long rest, assuming the follower is with you when you're doing that, or is in the general vicinity, then that's when you will get them back. Hopefully a long rest will be coming at some point in the next several months. No, I'm just kidding. At some point. All right, so
we are not doing Shire Adventures right now, where there's no chance for long rest.
No chance for long rest ever. As you're making your way up these stairs towards the hut, what's your demeanor
Runsild? Are you kind of like, I'm making my way, are you dramatically, or trying to be stealthy,
making my
or
way downtown,
how are you
walking fast.
making your way up
she's just
uptown
like
towards the hut?
casually swaggering up the stairs, I suppose. Like she's kind of excited, but also like, being cool about it. Like she's not stealthy or anything. She's just casually walking, basically.
I see.
Like, ooh, adventure is happening.
Okay. As you head up, you can see that the hut appears to be nestled into the side of the ruined tower. It's like the tower's wall itself is like the rear wall of this hut. And there is clearly a fire that you can see flickering in the center of the hut, with the smoke escaping through the reed thatch. And standing by the front of this hut is someone interesting. And I am, in fact, going to show you a picture of that.
Is
this one
it
I'm
the
going to
Hermit?
put. It. I don't know. Is this your sanctuary? Tell me everything.
What's next? A dragon in a dungeon.
Tell me everything you know. I know. I was thinking about that last night. I was watching someone play Skyrim, and I'm just like, I should just be saying a lot of things like, you see a Draugr, you see a thing. Okay. Where is my? Oh, there it is. Okay. It's like, where the heck is my thing? Right. So pull that up and. Okay. So I am going to, this one I'll put on Roll20, not in, on, I beg your pardon, on stream, not on Roll20. So let me pull this character up here. Oh, okay, no, that's not. It's not going to work. Okay. There are many different people that you can meet, which is why I wanted to be.
Not much of a hermit sanctuary if there's many people, huh?
Well, many people that you could have theoretically met, not so much that they may or may not be all here. Okay.
Just imagining like a flock of like talking seagulls on the beach now.
All going mine.
Mine.
Okay. Right, okay. All right, I'm going to put this up right now, and chat will be able to see it as well. And here we go. Okay. The person that you see who is there waiting to greet you is a boy. If you had to guess, somewhere between maybe 9 and 13 years old, possibly. Slender of frame, you can see sort of has dirty blonde hair. And he is standing by the doorway, and you don't even need a check to be able to see that as you all draw closer, you can see him sort of draw slightly in to the hut. Not like, running away, but definitely sort of kind of drawing into the hut a little bit. And as you kind of come up the last few stairs, he says, "Welcome, heroes. I greet you. Who are you, and what is your business here on this isle?"
Greetings then, young boy. Well, my name here is Runsilda, and this here would be Arvan Eleron, who comes from the far south. And on this side here, we have the wise Rigmod. At your service.
And he sort of nods and he says, I'm Edgar, and I am watching here today. I must ask, do you intend anything of ill intent to this isle? It feels very much as he's reading from a script, is what it very much feels like. Even though he's clearly not, and you can see he's nervous.
No, I do not intend to have any intent towards this, ill intent to this isle.
He sort of nods, and he says, "So you have traveled across the wild waves to come to this place?
Yes, that would be the case, indeed.
And so you are a hero.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't toot my own horn like that, but, you know, one day I hope to live up to a title such as that.
And the boy sort of nods seriously and says, then you should come with me to Egbert. His land is what this island is, and he will bring you in and take care of you. His name is Egbert, apparently. And he says, we must go to the Hermit's Hall to find him.
Would he be the king, then, of these lands?
He is our wise man. Like, he gives you very long pause, and then says, we have no king. He leads us and he has been here a long time.
All right, then. Lead us on.
And so he comes out. By the way, you're able to see behind him that in the hut is this wooden stool and a wooden box which has a couple of like sort of mugs on it of water or something like that. And that's pretty much it. This does not look like a very, like, if this is the equivalent of the guard's hut, it's like there's not there. And in fact, this boy does not even seem to be armed. And so yeah, he kind of nods at you and then says, please follow.
Can you remind me what the story from the beginning was?
Sure.
Like just bullet.
Sure, I will. Yeah, bullet pointed. Yeah. I'll be like, listen. So the story was a far-flung isle surrounded by waves, that there are, gulls and creatures there. Once a holy held place, but in the hearth of deep dwelled slaughter, and its leavings glut the gray-cloaked wolf, gorges the black raven's bent beak. That
those are words.
So basically, from what you can tell, that there is some, obviously is making reference to some monster that has been killing the people who live on this island and the animals and the creatures there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have no idea what kind of monster, who, where, what, when.
Right,
yeah,
too.
sounds
Okay.
like there's a king-queen vacancy on this island, Tari Triffid says. Aha. All right. So, if you're going to follow the boy, then I am going to bring us to a little bit of a map for you.
Little bit of a map.
Little bit. Okay. So, let me get rid of Egbert here. I mean, not get rid of him. Let me permanently
No, that's not
eliminate.
Egbert,
Oh,
that's
sorry,
Edgar.
I beg it, Edgar. Pardon me. Let's reduce in size Edgar here. Okay, let's take a look at this island.
Make him even smaller. He's already such
He's
a small
super
child in
small.
such a big world.
So right down here, on let's see, right there where I'm pinging, that is the hut that you're at and the ruined tower next to it. And as you can see, there are cliffs around all that, but this is a decent size but not an enormous island, Runesild by any stretch. Over here though is where the boy leads you towards this area. And as you're being brought up in that direction, you can note a couple things which may be sort of significant. The boy says very little as you're being brought along at first, but then as you sort of climb up further and then around the hill, he says, "Did you find any strange creatures out at sea? Did you defeat them?"
I found a strange light. I don't think the light was a creature.
And he stops, and his eyes widen. He says, "You managed to stop a light? You fought
No,
it?"
I saw one. I didn't fight a light. It was there. It was in the direction of this island. So.
Oh, and yes, I've seen that before. It didn't frighten you and keep you from coming, though.
Ah, nothing frightens me. And she lets out another laugh.
And he says, well, I'm not frightened either. I'm actually really brave, and that's why they sent me. I'm not scared of anything here, even right now. You can tell Runsild without a check that this is absolute BS. Like, that he's clearly a little freaked out by something. And he says, so when you went through the light, it was fine and you weren't scared at all, ever?
Well, I wasn't scared. My crew was.
Oh, how do you keep from... I mean, I know how I stop from being scared, but how do you stop from being scared?
Well, you see, the trick is to just not be scared in the first place.
He kind of blinks, and Rick Mod says, sort of chuckles to herself, and Edgar sort of like says, well, yes, that's right. That's why I'm not scared, but a lot of people are here now. And so I wondered so I could help teach them how other people stop from being scared, the way that I'm not ever myself.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't help you with that, though. Maybe it helps if I took the source away from whatever's making you scared.
And he sort of kind of nods and says, well, did you say, I'm sorry, Tari, did you say source just then? What did you say?
Yes. The source of whatever is scaring him and the other people.
Well, you see, it's, and he starts kind of almost unconsciously walking as he's kind of umming and ahhing. And he says, I don't know whether I should say anything, because it's the Hermit's job to talk about stuff like that. He, otherwise we could get in trouble because it's not, so, and he's just like stammering, and kind of like,
well, then bring me to your Hermit.
And he nods and he says, oh, he'll be down there. And he points, and here. So as I said, you're going to this spot on the map, but I also have, I told you I had a million pictures for this. I also have this. Now this is set more during the day. So it's actually dark now, or close to dark. But you can see from a distance what that looks like. I'll actually put it up so the chat can see it. You can see the sort of outer ring of stone here, and then what basically looks like three houses, one sort of larger, longer building, basically, and then these
a longhouse, one would say.
Exactly, a longhouse, one might imagine. And by the way, you can see right as he's looking down at it that there's also in that picture, Runsild, you can see a standing stone. It's a large standing stone with many carvings on it.
What kind of carvings?
So the carvings show, actually, I have a picture for this too. Let's see. I'm going to get you. There we go. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do this. See that. And okay, I will pull this up on stream here. Okay. Right in there and through this with this. Okay. Looks like this.
Ooh.
you can see that there appears to be some kind of like horned figure gripping itself. And there are many smaller figures surrounding it that appear to be doing battle. And as you kind of look closely, you can see that the smaller figures' swords appear to be broken. There is also some kind of ancient writing on the stone, which is made of lines scored by other lines. Now, I don't know whether you or your followers, what languages they all speak.
Actually, there was no, well, at least not that I could find like an official languages list in the rules.
Is this
so
a Rick
I
mod
just
thing?
looked up what historical correctly languages would apply, which in Runzel's case would be like for one, she speaks a trader's tongue, which basically everybody speaks. And then her native language is Old Frankish.
Old Frankish. This does not fit either one of those, but you think Rickmod may be able to read it. And what I'll give you is an offer. You can activate Rickmod to read this.
Quickly look up which language family Old Frankish is, which I think is a West Germanic language.
Okay.
Actually. So it's like in the same family as like Dutch and Frisian and
so you would this is not that, although you might be able to pick up something about maybe something seems vaguely like monster or like beast or monster, but that's literally the only thing you could pick up at all. But I will give you the opportunity, if you want to activate Rickmod, Rickmod would be able to probably read some of this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like we would like stand in front of this rock, and then after a moment, Runzel would be like, yeah, I can't make sense of any of this. Rickmod, do you know anything?
And Rickmod sort of looks up at it and says, yes, this language here, dearest, is Ogham. It is a language of the ancients. And she kind of like peers in, kind of like her eyes narrowed. There was a gathering of heroes here, great heroes, and they fought this giant. And then she kind of looks up at you, sort of side-eye.
Yeah, when she mentions giants, like Runzel's eyes like light up. It's like, woo, a giant.
And the giant destroyed them all. It seems that its hide cannot be pierced by iron. And she kind of blinks. And I would like you to make a perception check for me quickly, Runzel. No, sorry. Insight, not perception. Insight.
Yeah, I think I'm equally bad at both of those. I think, though, that for this, I do want to use my hero inspiration.
Having Skyrim flashbacks, nice, Princess. Why would the giant destroy them all? Destroy them all!
I did not need that inspo, but yeah, that's a 17.
Okay, so you used your inspo, though, yes?
Yes.
For the hero. Okay, so you have 0 on the hero pool. Okay. Yes. So the minute that you hear this description, you can see Edgar clearly get visibly uncomfortable, like sort of like swallows and kind of sort of steps away and kind of looks around nervously at the sort of as his hair is swept by the wind.
So it should be noted that Runzel is actually quite tall. She's 1.90 meters, which is, wait, I wrote down what that is in feet. 6'2".
Okay.
So she tends to be taller than most people that she meets.
Okay.
And then she like looks down at the little boy and throws him a wink, like, can't possibly be bigger than me, can he?
And he kind of like,
oh, bigger than me. I will only believe it when I see it.
And he kind of looks around, and you can see that I think you had brought
Aban, right?
Yeah.
With you, and Aban is like, and sort of sighs and then says, I do not like the look of that. And Rickmod sort of steps back and says, that is all that can be read on this stone.
Well, I mean, let's keep going. I'm sure that ominous Hermit can tell us more about what's happening here. Maybe he has a giant hidden in his bedroom.
And so a couple of your followers smile, having had your sense of humor around for a while. The boy is just, like eyes wide, still like freaked out, obviously. Begins to lead you down the path.
She's not the most tactful. Should mention that.
Yeah, he doesn't seem angry, just like still freaked out, basically. As you and your followers approach, you can see that this place that the boy refers to as the sanctuary, is this small holding. It has 3 buildings you can see there, and then there's some animal pens as well, all surrounded by a stone wall. And as you approach, you can actually see the wall varies in height from maybe 5 to perhaps 6 feet tall. This is not an impenetrable defense by any means, but it is one that keeps out probably the worst of the wind, and it would make life difficult for an attacker, because they'd have to figure out a way to getting over the wall they could maybe do, but it would slow them down, and it's fairly thick stone. And it looks like the stone also looks as if it must have been taken directly from the island, because a lot of it is rough but has been shaped to sort of fit together. So it's a reasonably well put together wall, not super smooth, but reasonably well put together. And close to the single gateway that you can see in front there in that picture, there's a section of the wall that seems to be under repair. There are wooden posts and some piles of stone that mark where repairs are in progress. And Edgar says, that was a big storm, caused a lot of damage to the wall, but Frithgar is repairing it. He's the builder of this place, and it's almost fixed, he says, or it will be soon.
Must have been quite a storm if it could move stone.
It was. It was very loud. It was so loud that people couldn't even hear themselves when they were outside in it. We stayed inside where it was more safe. We didn't even hear the... and then he trails off. Well, never mind.
Wait. Why were people out in the storm?
Well, just when they were coming back, some of them live outside of the sanctuary, and they came to the sanctuary to be protected. So there were a couple people that came in from out of the storm, and they were the ones that said you couldn't even hear yourself. When we opened the door to let them in, we could hear how loud it was.
On the way here, besides that one tower, I didn't see any other buildings, did I?
No, you did not. There might be small... Now, remember, because the thing, is like very rolls up and down geographically, there may be some things you didn't see on the far side of the island. Because remember, you had to go all the way around to come in from the south. So it's possible that up near the north there's other stuff, but no, you didn't see anything. Definitely a lot of cliffs where caves could be, though, by the way, Runesild. A lot of cave possibilities here.
Yeah, like Runesild, like after the boy mentions that, would like look around, like looking for buildings and people.
Yeah, not anything obvious where you're heading down towards. In fact, I'm just looking quickly to see if there's any spot. That's the wrong one, although you're going to need that in a minute. Come back to that in a second. Yeah, there's a road that extends down to what looks like a circle of stones, but it's some distance from you. And then there's other little like boulders and outcroppings. It's possible that there could be houses behind those rocks, or there could be nothing. There's definitely not anything as obvious as this. The biggest structure on the island is the sanctuary, and the second biggest structure is the ruined tower with the hut. The third one biggest structure is probably that ring of stones down there, and then everything else you don't know. You'd have to get closer to see it. Nothing from here that's obvious.
See. Right. yeah, in that case, she would just raise an eyebrow and keep going.
Okay. All right. So now let me bring you to.
Oopsie.
Let me bring you to E.
No, I dropped my beautiful lamp, my daylight lamp.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's like standing on the corner of my desk here, and because the cable is not very long, so my foot keeps getting stuck in it.
I see. Okay. So this is where this is the sanctuary itself from like a top-down view. Sanctuary. So, and the main area, so there are basically, as I said, 3 buildings. There is what looks to be 2 houses. One of them is more, basically 2 round houses, roughly the same size. One over here to the left and one over here to the right. The stuff in the middle is blacked out because you haven't been in it yet. And then the one back here is the hall, which Edgar points out to you as the Hermit's Hall. It's this wide, low, oval-shaped building, and it has a thick thatched roof that you can see. And there are 2 entrances, which is one directly across from the entrance gate to the sanctuary, and then there is kind of a back door as well, although that's not something you're going to see immediately. But you will be able to see the front of this building as you come up close to it. And they're double-doored entrance, by the way. And Edgar brings...
I, of course, sent my sheep to reveal the fog of war.
Yes, sure. I'm sure that's what happened. Exactly. That's funny.
Do I see anybody else around as we step through the gate?
You do not actually see anyone outside at the moment, although it is dark. So maybe they may be, inside the hall or whatever.
How dark is it?
There is sort of like, there's moonlit kind of above, but there is there's really only maybe one sort of fire that you can see flickering from inside a couple of these buildings, but it's not very much illumination. There is no fire in the sanctuary itself, which strikes you as a little odd.
No, okay, then in that case, Runstedt would have lit a torch before we set out from the boat.
Okay.
Because that's all right.
Yep. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, with a torch in hand, keeps going towards the hall.
All right.
Longhouse.
So, the boy sort of brings you up to the doors and then opens the doors to reveal... There we go.
Dramatic music.
Yes, exactly.
Viggo Mortensen stands in the door.
Dramatically, yeah, I was going to say. Okay. So, a couple of notes here, which is that you can see that there is inside, first of all, it's much warmer there. There is, in front of the doors, which the boy has to push aside, is a thick felted blanket. And it looks like it's been sort of hung on the inside of the doors, maybe to keep the wind out, because although the double doors look reasonably, not bad strength-wise, but they're definitely are not like all the way to the ground. They're rough made, so there's definitely room for air to come through. So there's a blanket that's been hung over the inside of it to keep the draft out. And inside, when you walk in, the air inside is thick with incense. And you can see there's a warm glow that is cast by a number of candles set on a wooden altar to the right. So right over here is where you see this altar with candles. There are a few tables which are pushed against the wall, and there's a bunch of wooden benches and stools that are scattered around. And in the middle of the hall sits a hearth, which is right here, which is burning a good-sized fire. After the rigors of the sea, after the the wind and the sort of windswept, uncomfortable moors that you've had to traverse, the hall is quite welcoming, I would say, Runstedt, in its warmth and golden glow. I would like you to make a perception check for me, please.
Yes, sir. That's a 19.
You notice that some of these benches have been moved closer to the main doors. If you had to guess, this looks like something being placed in readiness to be used as maybe like barricades or something like that. Definitely not something which is useful in terms of actually sitting on it the way they positioned.
So basically, this first adventure is literally just Beowulf.
Well, it's called Hermit, and no, we shall see.
No, this is not Herod. This is Edoras, different place.
Edoras, totally different place.
Yeah.
The Golden Hall of Meduseld. Okay.
Runse steps through the door and takes her helmet off. Has a look around if she spots anybody.
All right. When you walk inside, you were able to note a couple of things. Let's get the. Let me get my playlist here and bring across the. Okay. There we go. And make sure that nope, that's not right. That's good, but that I want ambient. That's what I want. There we go.
Ambiance.
I want some ambiance. All right, there we go.
Ambiance.
Let's see if that, I want some Beyonce. Right.
Oh, the other day I saw a video of like two Scottish teenagers, and apparently they pronounce croissant as croissant.
Croissant, really?
Croissant.
I see. I wonder if that's like. I wonder if that's deliberately like. I'm not gonna write any other kind of. Like they're deliberately like. I want to. I'm gonna.
I do not know, but still, had not heard it pronounced that way before.
Yeah,
so.
That's a new one. Croissant. Okay.
Croissant.
I'm just making sure that I get my volumes right so I don't get blasted away by music. Okay. And there's that. And there's that. Great. Wonderful. All right. That's all set. Okay. Freedom fried croissant. Okay. Croissant. So when you walk inside.
Like bagel?
Bagel. Oh, God.
Bagel.
When you. Okay. So when you walk inside, quick note to chat, by the way, this is a good spot to mention that you are watching day 1 of Beowulf, Age of Heroes. This is part 1 of the Hermit Sanctuary, and I am joined by TariToons, who is playing Runesild. And you're getting a sense, I think, of Runesild's character. This, so that everybody knows, this is moving into the second act here, because we've done our preparation, we've done our voyage, and I'm not going to be as mechanical about this all the time, but I'm doing it here because this is a new system for folks. This is moving into the second act, where we begin to see some of the main players on the island. And there are a fair number of people here that are standing inside, although not like, not 50, but there are definitely more than a couple. So I am going to bring... There we go. Let's bring some tokens on board, shall we? There is that, yes.
Tokens? Like, wait. Spelled like to...
Okay. So there's...
Tokens.
There's Edgar. All right. Standing near the back of the hall, as
he's
you kind
huge.
of look
It's
around.
a giant. I kill him.
Yes, I just good job. You win. No, that was all it took. So in the back here, you see this large, powerfully built man with a brown beard and brown hair, and he is just sort of silently standing back away from the hearth a little bit. And his eyes sort of, his gaze passes over you as you enter. But he doesn't say anything. He just continues to stand and watches you. So there is, we have him. We also have... Okay. We also have... Token... There we go. Sort of near the hearth, sort of standing, sitting on a stool behind it.
Oh my God, we are in partner. Look at her and me.
Ooh, that's true, actually.
It's literally me.
Literally you. It is a short, burly woman of middle age.
Not literally me.
So no, I mean, just not a day over,
No, I
65.
was like talking about the short part.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, the short, definitely short, not your size. This guy back here is taller than you are, although not much taller,
Or
but
is
still
he?
taller. Yeah, I guess we'll find
Stands
out.
on the tippy toes.
It's three dragons in a trench coat. Three large rats in a trench coat. Anyway, she appears kind of dour. She wears this unbleached apron and has a headscarf over this nettle-dyed green dress in a rough fabric. And she has wearing around her neck, and this is common with many women of the time, these two brooches joined by beads. And hanging off of
I came prepared.
hanging off of that are right, exactly, wearing exactly that, literally you.
Exactly that.
Hanging off of that necklace though are a set of keys. We don't know what
A set of keys. Okay,
a set of keys, a couple of them, yeah, a set by which I mean two. Okay.
Was that a joke or were you serious about two?
No, there's actually two keys.
Okay.
Yep, literally two. Then there is this man.
Two keys.
Who is there are two all of a sudden Muppet again. There is this man who is standing to your right. This guy has piercing beady gray eyes, and he has the oiled leather garments of a sailor, and he has this long-eared Phrygian cap. And you can see just underneath it these sort of wispy hair that sort of floats just underneath it. And as you come in, he sees you and gives you a big smile and a hearty wave, which is the first one who's done that since you've arrived in the island. So he is here. Why is my music not playing? There we go. Okay. So there's that. And then the last person sitting inside here. And this one is sort of sitting, and it looks kind of like he's sitting on almost a big, at first you think it's like a pillow, but then you realize that it's it's been stacked up cushions. And you see this old man with wispy white hair and white beard who is sitting at the back on this, again, like almost like a sack or something like that. But then you can see, as I say, when you get closer, that there are these cushions that have been stacked up for him to sit on. He is in this, what can only be described as a threadbare, at best, monk's habit.
I kill it.
It's a tawny bear, and you kill your friend from previous adventures. No. So he has, again, he's got this threadbare monk's habit, basically. And he, you can see that his beard is really almost silver. In fact, it's when it catches the light from the hearth, it's almost luminous. And his skin is very pale white, almost translucent. It almost looks like he himself is almost glowing because of the way that his body is placed. Looks very, very old. And when you come in, he sort of looks up kind of in your direction and then sort of nods and lowers his head again. So, pan to the right. Okay, I will do that. Thank you, Tron. Let's zoom out a bit. Oh, actually, I'll have to zoom the center a little bit. So we'll go this way. Yeah, I think that's better. More centered. There we go. Thanks, Tron. Okay. So these are the ones that are there, and as you come in, the boy sort of comes in and then walks up and starts whispering to the wispy white-haired man, who kind of like leans up so that he can hear what the boy is saying. And you, with your followers, can now you can wait for the boy to bring you over, or you can just talk to some of these people in here. But these are the 5 that you see in here, in addition to your own, obviously your own followers that you brought with you.
Right. Yeah. As she has stepped through the door and taken her helmet off, she. I I don't know the English word for that. Räuspert. Like,
Okay.
greetings. I am Runsild of Xanten. I have come over the sea because I was told there might be a monster to be slain here.
And so there's a long pause. In fact, everything falls silent. And everyone sort of stares at you with the sort of crackling of the hearth. And then the old man kind of gestures you over.
Yeah, she goes over.
And Edgar is standing by him, and Edgar says, Egbert, this is the people that came. They're heroes, and they're not frightened of anything. And they've come to help. And sort of pauses, and the hermit, kind of the old man, looks at you and kind of narrows his eyes, and he says, I am thankful for you coming to our aid. You can take your rest here and eat some food and meet the inhabitants of this place. We are always happy to have visitors, though it happens very rarely. And when we do have them, they usually... It's warm in here, isn't it? So it's literally just like that. He starts and then just sort of drifts off somewhere. And Edgar doesn't say anything.
Runsild like looks where he was looking, trying to see if there is anything there.
He seemed to be looking up at the, like, sort of vaguely in the direction of the roof, but not really. That 1,000-year stare, perhaps.
Hello?
Hello. Oh, yes. You're the heroes. Yes. You said your name was Rune, who, what was it?
Runsild of Xanten.
Runsild. Well, I am Egbert the Hermit, and this is... Oh, you've met Edgar. Well, you're welcome to stay, as I say. We'll be happy to speak to you and give you what we have, even if it is not much. God has provided what he can, and that is all that we know. Because we are here. And then he looks down at the floor. You notice no one else is like they're all looking at you, but none of them seem to be like surprised at whatever Egbert's doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. And yes, indeed, we are here. So, and she goes to sit down by the fire on one of the stools.
Okay, can do that. And
like would gesture Rigmod and Aban to do the same.
And they do that. Rigmod sort of like looks very, and you have this moment of this sort of moment's vision, Runsild, of like two old eagles staring at each other, two old birds kind of staring at each other with wisdom somewhere. And as you're standing or sitting by the fire, this man here, the one who gave you comes over as the people start to speak again. And he comes over to you and he says, greetings! I had not expected to see anybody, frankly. It's not often that we get visitors from outside the island. I am Elfnoth. I am the provisioner here, such as it is. It's my job to keep people's bellies full and their hearts happy, so to speak. Heroes, you look as if you have traveled a long way. Perhaps some food for you.
We would not be opposed to that. Thank you very much.
And he nods and he says, very well, we should be able to help you, I think. Caro, would you mind going in and grabbing some of the, we have some hardtack there, I believe. And Caro, who apparently is the woman in green because she stands up and then sort of nods and kind of like sort of nods, but also kind of nods and frowns, I guess would be the way to describe it. And then somewhat unsteadily hobbles off to this area over here to the left side, the western side of the hall. And while she's gone, he says, the provisioner says, Kerno really knows everything there is to know about this place. Well, not that there's that much to know, frankly. Once you've been here a little while, you've figured out everything there is. But still, if I ever want to find another way to get to the room in the left side of this place, I can certainly rely on Kerno to tell me where it is. And he kind of looks at Rickmod and he says, of course, wisdom is the most important thing, and experience cannot in any way be minimized. But sometimes, well, sometimes it is important to move more quickly than Kerno may be accustomed to, I'm afraid. And Rickmod just kind of, and he says, yes, well, anyway. So, as Kerno, you can see now, comes back out carrying several plates with what looks like a kind of strips of meat on it, and brings it over in your direction. And he says, so, please, tell us what has brought you to this place other than to help us. I mean, it must have been a difficult journey. Did you run into any problems when you were traveling?
Well, I mean, there was this one odd thing with green and purple lights on the horizon. And at some point while we were on the ship, the wind was just gone.
Gone,
which
really?
I find odd. Yes.
Well, there are a lot of things strange on this island, for certain. It's one of the reasons why people don't come here that much, I think. Well, you are lucky then, because it appears that you have survived the green light. The green light is, well, it's sort of a phenomenon, they say. It's really harmless, but in the more superstitious sorts, and he drops his voice, people who aren't as well educated, you understand, well, they may think that there's something really dangerous about it. But of course, we know that's not true. It's simply a thing that happens sometimes in the sky and sea. I'm glad that it didn't trouble you very much. At this point, the meat has been placed in front of you, and without saying anything, Kerno has gone back to her spot, her own stool by the fire, and sort of sits down and kind of stares in your direction.
Runsil takes a cup, very grateful, and is so. If there's nothing odd about these lights, then how does it keep people away? And she takes a sip.
And Elfnoth says, "Oh, well, that's easy enough. It's superstition. People are drawn to believe strange things that happen. We all know the gods work in certain ways, and as long as you stick to those ways, that's all that needs to be said. There's no reason to believe that anything else could actually happen. But you put these people on a ship, and all of a sudden, they get frightened by anything. I remember traveling once on a ship where someone became convinced that there was a monster trying to pull the ship to the bottom when it was simply the creaking of the wood. Can you imagine? Unbelievable." And he kind of laughs again. And Runsild, you were reminded of, it's also a hearty laugh. How hearty, you're not sure, but something.
So you don't believe in monsters?
Now, I'd like you to make an insight check.
Now we're cooking with gas. Insight. Oh, that's an 11.
He says,
big 11.
Monsters. Well, there may be monsters among all of us. He kind of lifts his eyebrows. But we only do those things to ourselves. We have enough to worry about without other creatures coming to get us. Monsters live in the minds of children. And he looks over at Edgar, and Edgar kind of is still standing by the hermit, is sort of glancing over in his direction. He says, but besides, not from Edgar, of course, he's a good boy, but children will come up with these fanciful stories, but we know the truth. A good, strong right arm and a good sense of direction and perhaps a good head on one's shoulders. That's what's required. Have that and you don't have anything to worry about from monsters.
Runzel just takes another sip and then like throws a glance at Rigmod and at Arvin.
Mm-hmm. Who are both
To, like,
following
see-
this with interest.
Yeah. Like basically giving them a... Without saying it out loud, if she can signal that. Like if you have anything to add to this.
Okay. And Rickmod sort of like kind of doesn't say anything, just sort of chuckles to herself. Aban says, "In my travels, I have gone long and far and have not come to a place where people know that monsters do not exist. The monsters may be difficult and different, but there are always monsters of some kind." And Elfnoth says, "Well, of course, different feelings for everyone, I suppose. I would not want to deny you your beliefs." And he kind of lifts up his mug and drinks down. You've also had mugs brought to you now, by the way, of a kind of thick sort of mead, is what it looks like almost.
Wait, but we already got cups of mead.
No, meat. I gave you strips of meat.
Meat.
Strips of meat.
Flesh.
Yes, strips of meat. A very tough
Delicious.
kind of like hardtack. Yeah, it's not bad, although it's
Wait
very
a second,
tough.
meat?
Mm-hmm.
She like looks at it and tries to decipher what kind of animal this could be from.
Ah, how about a nature check?
Oh no. Time to eat some human flesh. Oh no.
That's some
5.
damn good meat.
Okay, yeah, yummy. To be fair, I really do love beef jerky.
Mm-hmm. It's luncheon meat, clearly.
Luncheon meat.
No, I'm guessing. You don't have that. I think, like in America, they have this meat that's literally called luncheon meat, and you're like, what even is that? There is
Isn't
no
that spam.
No, that's another thing. Luncheon meat is just
because
sort of
like
this.
over here, like luncheon meat is just what they call off-brand spam.
It's spam. Oh, is that? It's like it's sort of in this thinner slices though. But it's kind of like indeterminate meat.
Wait,
where you
slices?
just sort of like. Yeah, there you go, Prince Justin. Snap into a Slim Jim.
Well, like the one thing that I ever ate that had luncheon meat on the label was just like a block of.
Oh yeah, because that's what we call spam. But they also have luncheon meat that's literally slices of it.
Oh, okay,
I must admit, it's been a long time since I've partaken in luncheon meat. So, but I always thought it was funny that it was just like, it's just meat. We're not going to talk about from where or what. It's just meat. Anyway, maybe meat in
a
quotes.
meat-like substance.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Anyway, so he takes a sip of his mead and says, "No monsters to worry about." And so what I do want to mention, by the way, is that as you like go through with all of these folks, I may have you do different checks to determine different things about each of them, depending on what you say and what you want to learn or don't learn from these.
What you say?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting is that you don't require the help of somebody who might be proficient with a sword.
Well, I mean, and he kind of sort of pauses and says, well, I mean, I suppose that it's not my place to say. I mean, that's Egbert's place to say. Did you bring your ship is nearby? You must have brought a group of like fighters with you to do this. I'm sorry if you brought a whole army. I can't imagine that we need that many.
I don't have an army, just a group.
And you
of
came in
people.
one ship all that way. It must be a good ship.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I'm glad to hear it. It's good to have ships pass by, as I say. As far as fighters, well, I'd have to leave that to our leader. And he kind of glances back at Egbert, who is at the moment kind of like settled back and kind of occasionally glancing around.
Yeah, Runselt looks over. And there's like, so for those cases where I don't know, Mr. Egbert might be, let's say, asleep, for example, who would then be in charge?
And he says, asleep. Well, asleep. Well, and he kind of lowers his voice slightly and he says,
Or, you might be at the other end of the island.
Wait, say it again.
Or like not necessarily asleep. Maybe he's just at the other end of the
Oh.
the other end of the island. Or
No, Egbert
something.
doesn't. He doesn't travel much beyond this anymore. I pretty much stays here, where we have the benefit of his wisdom. But truthfully, and his voice kind of drops a little bit, and he says, he's a very holy man, but his mind is failing. You can see it for yourself.
You don't say.
Yeah. So that's made it a little difficult for all of us here, to be honest. Good man. But as a leader, well, the mind does seem to wander. Okay, now I'd like you to make another insight check for this one, Runsil.
11.
So yeah, he says that he says, the truth is that technically, if for some reason Egbert weren't here, I suppose the people that would be most likely to lead would be either, well, myself, mostly because I tend to be the one who's more willing to talk than some of my compatriots here. But of course, there's other things to recommend them. Frithgar over there, and he kind of gestures over towards the large man. He's known as the Builder, and certainly he's built a lot of the stuff on this island, and he's built it to last. He seems very, hungry all the time. I mean, I'm the provisioner, so I know about the goods that we have here, and it seems that he just seems to eat a lot. And truthfully, I wouldn't call him stupid. That would be unkind, but he's definitely quick to anger, and he can become very violent if crossed. You definitely don't want to mess around with him. So he's your leader if I'm not, and if Egbert's not. The others, well, Kerno, bless her, is, well, she's a woman with a lot of age on her, and she's grown somewhat, well, bitter. The truth is, I think she maybe lives here because no one else can put up with her, if you know what I mean. And then there's Edgar, but Edgar's just a boy. He's too young to know anything. He's full of fanciful stories, always wanting to be meeting heroes. It must have been quite something for him to meet you, but he's too young to lead anybody, really. So, there's your candidates for leadership.
Is there nobody else on the island?
Well, not many. There are occasionally we think we've heard or seen signs of other people coming about, but we never actually find them. And of course, not many people, as I've said, ever come here in the first place. You'll hear some fanciful stories, no doubt, about other things on this island, but I'm sure that's a bunch of nonsense.
What kind of fanciful things?
Oh, well, I wouldn't want to lend credence to it. I mean, it's stories about, about a monster, about creatures that could do dangerous things, that sort of thing. There were a few visitors who came to this island not that long ago, actually, maybe a month or two, and they were, well, I didn't know much about them. They kind of kept to themselves. They talked to Egbert some, and then they were found. They disappeared. No one really knows what happened to them. I assume they just headed off on the island, but of course, well, Edgar thinks that they were killed by some monster hunting them, and Egbert, well, as much as I could get from him before his mind wandered, said that they had gone to meet the Maker, whatever that means, and then it was unfortunate that they disappeared, but I'm sure they just left. As I said, there's not much here to this island to recommend it, really, unless you like solitude. But talk to the others here, and they'll tell you that monstrous creatures are roaming and killing, and, well, again, I think the only monsters that are around are the ones around us, frankly.
see.
And
With that, Runzel just like kind of stares off into the hearth for a bit.
And and I think you said you had. Did you have just Abin and Rickmod? Did you have anyone else, or just those two?
No, those two.
Okay, so at one point, Abin comes over to you and sits down. At this point, Elfnath, the provisioner, has kind of gone off by himself a little bit, and he sits down. Abin does, and says, "Something seems odd about this place. More than a few things. Why is it? How do they even get their food? And once they've gotten their food, how exactly are they? Well, look at the benches there. You saw them. What are they protecting themselves against?" And he sort of like nods in the direction of the benches that you already saw that looked like they were set up as barricades. And he says, they're afraid to go out at night. Most of them are not talking to each other. That boy is frightened. This one here perhaps talks too much. Perhaps we need to talk to the others, but the others in here, but there's something wrong about this.
I guess we have to wait and see for now.
And he nods and he says, "All right, but tread carefully." Egbert at this point, actually, no, not Egbert. First I think it'd be Kerno. Kerno sort of comes over now because presumably you finished the meat by this point. Not the mead, the meat. And she comes over and picks up the plate, the wooden plate, and then sort of looks you up and down. She says, as she's sort of looking up and down, she says, "You're the hero types? The ones who came across the sea?"
I think that would be us, yes.
Big heroes, big swords. You think you can defeat what stalks us at night? Or did you come here for glory?
Ideally both.
Glory. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when you come face to face with that thing.
What thing exactly? Your friend over there, and she like nods over to
the provisioner's name is Elfnath, yeah?
This one over there seem pretty sure that there is nothing to worry about. No monsters of any sort.
Of course he would. From his point of view, there's nothing ever there except what he can maybe get out of it. She kind of looks over and glowers at him, and of course he sort of sees her and is like, lifts the mug to the room. And she says, "But I know for a fact that there's more here than meets the eye. Yes, there's a monster. But, and I hope you won't take this the wrong way, I don't know whether I want to be telling that to someone who's here just to hunt treasure. How do I know that you're really here to help?"
What else would we be doing here?
You said it yourself, glory, except maybe not just glory. Maybe it's glory and treasure. Maybe you take all the gold and leave us here with that thing.
And Runselt looks around, is like, no offense, but you folks here don't look like you have a lot of gold in store.
And I should have said silver. I apologize. Silver.
Yeah, silver, whatever.
And she says, "We don't. It's all been taken, whatever was there, and now it's all kept by that thing." And she kind of grumbles and says, "My boy's seen them too." And she kind of nods towards Edgar, and you realize that my boy, means that perhaps she's indicating that this is her son.
Probably more like grandson.
Or something. Yeah, she doesn't look ancient. She's gray-haired and appears dour, but she may be aged beyond her time. You don't
actually know. She doesn't have, Rickmod comes by her age honestly, right? Like you could see the wrinkles and everything. With this one, you're not 100% sure. This may be wrinkles from worry and weather, maybe more than time. But in any case,
Ein wettergegerbtes Gesicht, as we would say in German. Like a weather-shaped face.
Oh, nice. I need you to make a persuasion check for me, Runesild. And before you do it, the persuasion check here is designed to see if you can get her to trust you. So that's kind of the idea. So keep that in mind one way or the other.
Let's go kind of see where this is going then.
Okay.
Nowhere with a friendly 9. Fantastic 9. Funtacular 9.
Funtacular 9. And actually I should double check on one thing, which is, do any of your followers, can you just quickly, I don't want to tell you what this is because then I would give something away. Can you tell me your followers the gifts they have?
Yeah.
The ones you have with you. So Aban and Rickmod's gifts.
Yeah, Rickmod has Engage, Rescue the Hero, Raven Mind, and Seer.
Okay.
As a burden, she has Slow. And then Aban has, as gifts, Engage, Rescue the Hero, and Lore of Kings. And no burdens.
What's the Raven Mind and the Seer again?
I think Raven Mind gives advantage on intelligence-based rolls.
Okay, that sounds right. And Seer?
1 second. Yes, indeed. Raven Mind does do that. And Seer, activate this follower to roll a d20. Spend this follower to substitute that roll for any d20 roll made by the player. So basically, she can give me advantage. Once.
Okay. Which you wouldn't have necessarily used there, or maybe you would have.
Wait, let me think.
Okay.
What else do I have? That's not gonna be relevant. That's also not relevant. That's definitely not relevant. I want to say that Rickmod would help out in this case because the soul monster and supernatural kind of stuff is like kind of her thing.
Okay.
So I would like to spend her.
Okay.
Or her thing.
Yep.
Spending a follower sounds weird. Spending a follower action, I guess.
Well, you're activating her, and then that will cause this thing to be spent. Now, the question is, you can do that. If you're going to spend the follower in this way, important to know on whom you're going to do this. So, like, who do you want to be speaking to about this monster lore? Do you want to be speaking about it to this person, or do you want to... Because I agree, it sounds like a sensible thing to use her, but the question is with whom?
With Keanu, I think.
Okay.
Since we're currently talking to her.
Then I will give you another chance at
basically, the idea that maybe she throws her a knowing glance or says something that might convince her otherwise.
Yep. So I'm going to have you roll it again, but before you do that, I'll say that Rickmod says, speaking up from the other side of the hearth, there are many who pretend to have knowledge and those who say that knowledge will be used against them. But here Runesild has come with open arms and has come to help these people. Your suspicion does nothing but grow the darkness of these monsters. If you wish to live in shadow, then remain in silence. Otherwise, open up and let the light come in, dear. Now, when she says all that, the Cairno kind of glares at her. But, let's see if it does anything.
Right, a 22!
Damn. Good
Let's
use of
go.
the follower. So Cairno glares at her, and she says, What do you know? What do you know of things that are heard in darkness? What do you know of it over there? And Rickmod sort of leans forward and says,
I know more about this darkness than you, and I am here for light. Now let's have none of this. You know that there is something you have not told. Tell us now. Even the ravens must be fed. Hmm?
And the woman sort of stops and then...
It's the boy that I'm worried about. It's Edgar.
His father is long gone. And his father was... And then she sort of sits down and kind of draws close to you and to Rickmod. And she says,
His father was killed in the war with the pagans, far away from here. And I didn't want him to follow his father's footsteps. I thought if we moved to an island like this, it would keep him safe. But he's not happy here. He's growing into a young man, and he needs broader horizons than what you can get from this place. I'm not happy about any of this, but this place is no longer what we thought it was. Egbert over there, and then she gets quieter. I'm afraid that Egbert is fading. He's not as green as he is cabbage-like, though. He has wisdom still, but you just have to find it. And the truth is, this island, when he first came to it, before any of us did, this island was a place of some holiness. But there was some evil here, too. I've never been able to get him to talk about it, but there was definitely some evil in this place that he found, and at least he saw. At least for a while, there were more people who lived here, and then one by one they all left. They didn't want to be in a spot like this anymore, and I can't say that I blame them. A few months ago, we had our first new visitors in a while, these two travelers. It was a man and a woman. They were pilgrims. They said they had come to visit Egbert. He's a holy man, you know. And they seemed honest and good people. They came and discussed things with Egbert, things about the creator, the maker, these things of the church. I don't fully understand them, but they were there discussing them. They mostly kept to themselves. Well, they disappeared, or at least that's what some say, except that I know for a fact there was more than that. Frithgar went looking for the first one, the man. All he found were bloody bones, but he hadn't seen those bloody bones the day before. That man was killed and eaten, I know it. And he wasn't the only one. The second one, the woman, was distraught when he had vanished. And she said she had to find him no matter what it took. She disappeared. And same thing the next day. Blood and bones were all that was left. People don't just disappear. They were killed. And my boy's seen these bones elsewhere.
And she pauses and she says,
Edgar, come over here.
and Edgar kind of comes over.
Yes, Ma? Tell them what you found with the others. Oh, well, he was coming also to see Egbert. He's a holy man, you know.
Rick Mod nods, having heard this "he's a holy man" thing multiple times now.
He's a holy man. And anyway, he came and he barely got here. I actually saw him, and I greeted him and brought him here. He said he had forgotten something back at his boat, and he left, even though we said you should probably stay until the morning. When he went out, well, I walked outside just to the edge of the wall of the sanctuary, and then I heard...
He kind of looks up at his mother and Kierno.
It's all right. You can tell them. I heard screaming and roaring, and then silence. The next morning when I went back to my spot with the hut, there were blood and bones on the stairs. And Rickmod kind of cackles. And Kerno says, well, there you have it. 3 people, 3 missing, all with blood and bones left over. I know what that means, but if you listen to a couple of people like the Provisioner, it's all in our heads. Then you explain it. What is it if it isn't a monster? And she says this to you, Runzel.
Well, that does sound like a monster to me. Question is, how do we find it?
And Edgar says, as you know, he says this. He says, "Well, tomorrow you could go to the cliffs. There are caves there. You can maybe find some things there. There's lots of caves on the island, and I've been to many of them. I actually traveled down, and it suddenly occurs to you, Runsil, that this young man this boy is talking as confidently and as smoothly as he was halting before when he starts talking about the caves. I was able to climb down. It wasn't really that difficult. There's actually a spot that you can use where you can climb down handhold by handhold, and there's a bunch of little caves in there. I think they might be connected, but anyway, there's lots of things you can find in there, and maybe people could hide there, or even monsters could hide there." And his mother says, "Oh, yes, all right, Edgar, easy. And she says, go, yeah, get me another plate of hardtack." And he says, "Yes, Ma." And he kind of gets up and then back, heads over to get the things in the other room. And she says, "This is what I mean. Already now you've got him talking about going to find these things. Yes, there are monsters, there must be, but you can't let him find them. Please, you've got to help us. Find this monster. Go to the caves or wherever. Go search elsewhere on the island. Talk to others here. But don't let my boy think he's something he's not. He's not a hero with bright armor and shield. He's just a boy without a father and with a mother who's made many mistakes."
Well, for that, we first have to find that guy. So, how about we get some much-needed rest, and then tomorrow we'll go see at these caves, huh?
She nods and she says, "It might be safer during the day, yes. Have a care, though. There are people here who, well, I wouldn't trust everyone here the same way. That's all." And she gets up and she nods to Rickmod, who is continuing to cackle herself, her eyes reflected in the fire, and she moves off. And as you look at the wispy-haired, white-haired old man sitting on the sack in the corner on his cushions, kind of looking off at you, and then his expression sort of wandering, and the builder sitting there implacably, and Elfnoth, the Provisioner, still with a smile on his face. In the distance you hear the howling of the wind. And that will bring us to the end of our session today.
Very nice.
Well. So, we've got some rumors.
Detective story now.
We've got some information and some people that are, bunch of sketchy people on an island. What could actually go wrong?
I'm just like imagining, it's like some weird cannibalism cult, or how these stories go. I mean, like the obvious thing, that like whoever wrote the story wants us to believe is that the big guy, like he eats people or something, or he goes berserk overnight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then it's like, maybe it's the Elfnas dude who's like, he's like acting like nothing is wrong, so obviously he's doing everything that is wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, there's basically, you're right. There are a lot of I guess you'd call them breadcrumbs, right? That are here to follow. And of course, there are other people. You've already talked to a couple of them, but you could talk. You might have the opportunity tomorrow, the next day, when in game, to talk to Egbert or whatever, and then sort of explore some of these caves and find out this other information. What I like about this section, though, is that these people are naturally suspicious. So like, it's not like they sent for you, right? Like they didn't go, here, go do this. It was a song that sort of passed from one person to one person. So it's possible that some of them are just kind of like, I don't know what this person is. Like maybe they're a thief. Maybe they want to like take all my stuff or whatever, like whatever stuff they actually have. So that was a good use there, Tari, of Rick Mod. You had one spending that was unfortunate, which was with Yasib, and then one spending which wasn't. But that's going to happen. I mean, like, and you managed to make it here, still getting through the challenges that you possessed in the voyage. And that whole eldritch green purple light thing also that was going on. I love your reaction. You're just like, as Genevieve is like, what's this? You're like, ha ha ha, like that, like just like, I'm not going to come for you. I'm just going to laugh because that's what it's about. Exactly. Yeah. Darksteel Spork. They don't just serve hardtack, but red herring. Exactly. Tari, wonderful work today.
Red herring.
Wonderful work today to open things up. I'm already really having fun with what Runesild's character is going to be. How did you feel about this opening segment? You got the chance to do the voyage, the portent, and actually get into a little bit of the Act 2 with the gathering of information. How'd you feel about all that?
Well, I had a ton of fun. This is very different, not like having other players to directly play off of. So a bit difficult for me to like keep focus. Mm-hmm. Don't be distracted by things. Don't wander off in your mind. Very interested to see where this is going and what exactly this game has in store further for us.
Yes.
I hope this was interesting to watch for people in chat.
I think it was, chat. I got the impression that people were reacting to some things that were happening. How did people feel about watching this the first time? It's an intriguing opening mystery. Prince Justin is a big capital yes.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
a
bit worried because I'm not a good with words person.
No, you did.
And, like, of course, like with like the group I have previously been playing with, a bunch of more charismatic people in there than I am.
Don't sell yourself short. I think Runesild, what's fun about it is that Runesild, I think, is going to be quite different in sort of type and style from Arilfur, from Tren's character. And so that I think is also going to be fun because remember, chat.
Oh my God, the name. The way you just said it.
Is it Arilfur?
No, but like it's not wrong how you said it, but like it sounds like we put it instead. That's what it sounds like.
A real
which, of course, is perfectly appropriate.
Well, that's a real. Yeah, I see. At first, I thought you were making fun of pronunciation. Then you're like, no, this is what it means. A real fur. Well, as long as I don't throw a big Southern accent on it, it should be fine. But a real fur is going to have a very different sort of tone. And as chat knows, the way this is going to work is so. Tren is going to be here next week with his own separate adventure, his own separate campaign, and then Tari will be back next month, not just for Gamebook Illustration, but also for her character continuing with the Hermit Sanctuary. In case anyone's curious, by the way, Tren's adventure is called The Three Ogre Brothers. So very different. So basically Hermit Sanctuary is going, and then we have the Ogre Brothers, the Three Ogre Brothers going, and those are separate campaigns. Again, they may cross paths again down the line, but at the moment it's going to be individual. So the reason I mention all that is that means that there's a different flavor, I think, for each of these characters and their adventures, and certainly for the followers.
Yeah, well, Tren is also a professional actor, so...
Yeah, but come on. You've had plenty of role play experience, and you've done very well in constructing these characters. You did very well.
I can dream. I can't even dream of like being on Tren's level, on Tren's level. But I hope I'm still entertaining to watch.
I think
so. If for nothing else, you can just like see me fumble with English pronunciation things.
I think people found you very entertaining, and certainly, and also on top of that, the art as well. that's mixed into the mix, which we know is yours. So I think the overlay actually comes out very nicely. But I will have to put the background in there too. Sorry about that. But I did have, you saw there were a lot of pictures. A lot of pictures.
I love
that. I
that.
through
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
I like the pretty pictures. Yeah. Also very excited to see what Tren is going to be up to, because I'm really looking forward to getting to know his new character.
Yeah. Me too. I'm excited for,
because then, as I mentioned earlier in the green room, that like I can't really draw Arifa yet. Really, because I don't know him. I just know what he looks like.
Right.
I don't know his mannerisms and stuff. I don't know his personality at all. Besides him probably not being a people person. But yeah, so looking forward to that. And once I got to know him properly, then there should be enough for me to work with to draw more stuff of him. So yeah.
Good stuff. Where will the fine folks find you next, Tari?
I assume next month. Like I already was on twice this month, right?
Yes, that's right.
So at some point in February, you will find me here. I don't know if first for this year, brand new, sparkling, fresh out of the package game.
Yep.
Or for Game Book Illustration stream, where we also are gonna start a new book.
Which I just got, by the way.
We just finished up Chasms of Malice.
Yep.
Chasms.
Yep.
Chasms. Is that a regional thing? Like, is that like an American English versus British English? Because I swear I've heard it pronounced chasms as well. But
I don't remember British English speaking pronouncing as chasms, but I don't think so. It's like charisma, right? Also is a CHA, and so you kind of do the k as opposed to the cha. Charisma.
Oh, like with oh god, when people in German pronounce China, the German word for China, as China.
Kina, oh my god.
I hate it. That's like a specific dialect. They pronounce all CH as a K. Hate it. Hate it with a passion.
The thing with me that always confuses me about that is Celtic versus Celtic, because I root for the Boston Celtics, but the Irish pronunciation, of course, is Celtic, so it's always like very confusing. But no, I wanted to tell you, I did get that book in. I just literally got Battleblade Warrior in the mail, so I open it up and I have the first book.
Show. Or do you not have it close?
I will grab it. It'll take 2 seconons. While I do that, just tell the fine folks anything else.
So our social security number is following. No. What else? People can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. And on Blue Sky, of course, at TariToons, where
there we go. See?
Oh, right. Yes. We showed that last time.
Battleblade Warrior.
Where we're like musing on what's going on with the armor and if that is a 3-titty alligator.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you can see that I got it used because.
Yes, of course.
It's got all the, some person filled it in. And this poor sap had 8 skill. And had 9 luck, and this poor person had a lot that they went through. Anyway, so yes. So there you go.
Oh, by the way, to the comment about the red herring earlier, I was informed earlier today that silt, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is apparently Norwegian and Danish for herring. I assume also Swedish, because it would be weird if it just existed.
Did you say Sid as in CID?
No, Zilt.
Oh, Zilt.
Like SELD.
Silt. Okay.
Which is just a coincidence, but I think it's fine because she has also a water theme going on with her name. Was like the whole.
I wish Rune were either German or Nordic or some Nordic language for red, so that she literally could be red herring.
Yeah,
That'd
red
be really
herring.
Great. That'd be awesome.
No, that would be like Rotsild or something.
I see.
I'm assuming. I put her in, the first half of her name, Runes.
Mm-hmm.
That's like part of old Germanic word for river.
Okay.
Among other things. So that's why I used that. So basically just her name means river girl or something. Like Hild is just common female suffix in Germanic names, whatever. how that works, like Bert.
Yeah.
Or something. So yeah, I think that's all.
So this was great though, Tari. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm more excited. You could have a sibling or other relative called Red Sill. Yeah, I know. Exactly. But thank you, Tari. Great stuff today. Thank you for opening up Beowulf Age of Heroes so well. I will see you back here. I will see you back here next month. Check. We get some love for the amazing TariToons. Again, you'll see more of Tari's art as well, which is going to be put out there basically as soon as I get it. And I'm like, earlier today, she put up this one thing, which I can't wait to share. And she's like, don't do it. It's a work in progress. I'm like, God damn it. Tari's work in progress is like already badass work. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll wait.
It's line art with some
it was good
pixelated no.
Wait till you see it, people. Wait till you see it. Anyway, Tari, thank you. Good stuff today. Sleep well, and I will see you soon.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye for now. All right. Great stuff. And again, amazing stuff too, as well with the music. Now, I did want to mention, I did not have a chance to talk about this before, but I did want to mention that Nari in chat, is Nari still here? Actually, I don't know if Nari is still here. Oh, Nari may have left. In which case, then it is up to Tari to explain to Nari and pass along again my sincere thanks for having done the amazing and awesome work on the music that you heard. That music that was done, Peripheral Mike did the video, but the music was done. And in fact, let me see. Give me a second here, because I think I want to make sure that I get the specific thing here. Hold on a second. No, it's not that. Wait a second. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. All right. So Nari, that is the word that was going to be credited by Nari, and the song. Oh God. Okay. Tari is forbidden to make fun of me for mispronouncing this. Okay. Dremda Mik and Dreminat. That was the song. But it was, so again, in fact, let me see if I can actually put this in chat, and someone can tell me how I'm actually pronouncing it. Hold on a second. There it is. And thank you, Sanguine Hayes, for the kind words. I'm glad. Okay, so how would someone pronounce that? But as we're thinking about that, so thank you to Nari, because really the music came out beautifully. And again, Tari's art is amazing. Scandinavian. Yeah, Scandinavian in some way. I just don't know exactly what it stands for, but it's awesome. And I really was like super happy with it. So thank you again to Nari for doing the wonderful music, and to Peripheral Mike for the wonderful video. So that, folks, is going to do it for me for today on this channel, but not for streaming overall. At 4:15, so 1 hour from now, I'm going to be over on GOGcom's Twitch channel with Pen and Pixels, and I'm going to be doing a Talisman board game. So fun with Talisman board game stuff with the D&D crew. It's going to feature Pyron Jade, Darksaber 2K, and Peripheral Mike. I don't know if Undeveloped Bruce is joining us. I know that Ananda can't, but we're going to have 3 plus me at the very least playing Talisman, which is going to be a good time. So we're going to be doing that over there at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, I should say, because it's actually Pyron Jade's birthday today, so I want to make sure that I wish happy birthday wishes, and we're playing games with her because that's like, she likes games. I can't imagine who here likes games. Jeez, I mean, really. So there's that. The oldest known secular song in the Nordic countries. It's written in Old East Norse. Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, games. Anyway, I really enjoyed this a lot, and I'm excited for this campaign. Again, next week, right back here, same bat time, same bat channel, you're going to see session 2 of Beowulf. But this is going to be with a whole different adventure called The Three Ogre Brothers, and it will be Tren's character, Arilfur, who's going to be a part of it. And Arilfur is a very different kind of character who has two followers, neither of which are human. So you'll have a chance to actually see that as we play this in, but it will be its own thing. So it's going to be cool. Like unlucky and not great. Yeah, always love some games. Talisman's my favorite board game. Favorite game, you all know, is D&D, but my favorite board game has always been Talisman for a lot of reasons, so it's going to be good. There's a humble bundle with a bunch of computer versions of board games. Small World and Carcassonne, nice. Yeah, the thing about Talisman is that Nomad Games has done the digital version, and they've done so well that I think they may even have outstripped the board game version. I have sitting right over there, although can't really see it from here. Well, actually, can you? Yes, you can. Right about there. Let me, hold on a second. Right there, underneath. Yeah, you see that box there? Underneath that right there is the second edition of Talisman, the board game, with all the fixings. Played so much of that game. So, but I think Nomad Games may even have outstripped it. That's how good it was. So I'm very impressed with them. But that's the deal with that. Now, I also want to mention that coming up this weekend, as we move here into mid-January, which again, before you know it, it's already January 9th, people. You blink and turn around. It's almost past the time where we happily say Happy New Year to people, right? So coming up this weekend, couple notes. First of all, now I'm supposed to stream this coming Thursday and then Saturday with Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks should still be happening on Saturday the 13th as far as I know. Thursday the 11th, though, may be a little up in the air. And what I might end up doing is I might have to change the D&D with viewers, which is supposed to happen on the 11th. I might have to switch that with the 18th, and here's why. Starfield is one that I can move around a little bit, although I'm almost done with Starfield and I'm anxious to finish it. But my daughter has a concert that she's doing on Thursday night. So I thought of a couple of possibilities. I could switch back from Thursday to Friday streaming, but frankly, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to establish that I'm now going to be streaming regularly on Thursdays instead of Fridays with an occasional Friday stream. And most of the time, Thursday nights are not problems. Usually Friday nights tend to be the bigger problem than Thursday nights are, frankly. So this Thursday night just happens to be unusual in that this is when her concert is. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to switch Starfield with D&D with viewers, and then I'll start Starfield late when I get back from this concert, which will probably be like 10:30. So my guess is that that's what I'm going to do. So Starfield, in fact, I'm going to do this right now so I don't forget it. So Starfield is going to be starting later than normal, so probably say anywhere between 9:30 to 10. And then I'm going to do this right now so I don't forget. And then D&D with viewers should be happening Thursday the 18th at the normal time of 9 p.m. Eastern. So that means this Thursday, 10 p.m. Starfield, Friday we're off, Saturday Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks at the normal time. And then next Tuesday we have more Beowulf, we have Talisman Adventures, not the board game, and we have the Arvocalist with a new game coming at you next Tuesday. So that's going to be it for me for now, though. Again, make sure that you join me over on GOGCom's Twitch channel at 4:15. If you like what you saw and heard, I hope you will follow this channel. I hope you'll check out my YouTube with !ArvTube. Please subscribe to me over there. If you were watching, as several of you were during the course of the stream over on my YouTube channel, welcome. I hope you will also follow me, not just there, but also over on Twitch, and that you'll spread the word about those things. Thank you for being with me. Again, Discord is !ArvCord, Twitter !ArvTweets, Blue Sky !ArvSky, website arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area, !ArvTrayon is the Patreon. Those are really financially important for the channel, so thank you for the support there. Plus, you can get cool stuff for yourself too, as is the case with subbing to the channel. And for those of you who subbed and resubbed, and I know Sanguine Hayes used a Prime sub here, thank you so much for doing that. It really does make a difference. Thank you. You can get those custom sub badges and emotes to use everywhere across Twitch, and inspirations, which, as you can see, will be used extensively going forward. So all of that stuff is really, really helpful. Thank you. On the publishing side, Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And and about that, the second adventure there, Return to the Forbidden Library, is going to be streamed and and also going to be performed live on stage at the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's going to be happening on Friday, January 26th. So if you're in the tri-state area, please do get tickets and come to that. It is free to attend, but you do need to have tickets, but it's free to go. Please do that because we want to have as big an audience as we can possibly get in there. It's winter. It's not great weather. It's January 26th. It's a Friday night. So we figure you put all that together, and definitely that's something people will want to come to if you're in the area. And if you're not, then definitely stick around because we'll be doing our various video work and live streaming there as well. So please consider jumping on board with that. Exclamation point Klein 2 for that. Exclamation point Library for Tales and Tomes. Exclamation point Greyshade is my Greyshade universe. Grey Assassin trilogy of the first 2 books, Greyshade and Renegade, are out now, as is the audiobook of Greyshade by Trent Sparks, who you'll hear more from next week. You can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade from Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley Entertainment, and the final book in the Grey Assassin trilogy, Heretic, which will be coming out later this year as well. Heretic this summer, the tabletop game coming out late this year, so definitely pre-order those now. And I think that's all for that. Exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. Important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Yeah, pre-orders are love, no doubt about that, Prince Justin. I agree. Pre-orders are love, pre-orders are life. Exclamation point Help Now. That's the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And exclamation point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others in the future. Thanks to everyone who was here today. I am really appreciative to Hilness, to Prince Justin, to Triffity Mats. Thank you so much to not only the best mods in the business, but to the best supporters in the business of my Patreon and subscribers. Thank you to Hilness, Prince Justin, Triffity Mats, Effect Life, and Sanguine Haze. And thank you to my viewers. Thank you to B Trader, Big Boss, Darksteel Spork, Dragon Spear, who's lurking, obviously. Thank you to Duke Hoy. Thank you to Geister. Thank you to Joseph, to Kieran. Thank you to Mark, Mr. Jonas, Neuro. Thank you to Nonstop, who's lurking. Thank you to Pyron Jade. Happy birthday, Pyron Jade. I'll see you in about 45 minutes or so. Thank you to Sweet Pea, thank you to T-Bank, and thank you to Vivacia. And most of all, chat, thank you all to the Handiwork Games for making Beowulf Age of Heroes. Thank you to the amazing TariToons for doing not just the art, but being an amazing role player. Thank you to Peripheral Mike for the video, Nari for the music, and thank you to all of you for hanging out with me and watching this. I'll see you folks in about 40-45 minutes over on GOGCom's Twitch channel. Until then, stick around one more time for the awesomeness known as this Beowulf video, and I'll see you folks back here very soon. Until then, be good to each other. Bye for now.
Then on the strand, with steeds and treasure and armor, their roomy and ring-dight ship was heavily laden. High its mast rose over Hrothgar's hoarded gems. A sword to the boat guard Beowulf gave, mounted with gold. On the mead bench, since he was better esteemed, that blade possessing heirloom old. Their ocean keel boarding, they drove through the deep, and Daneland left. A sea-cloth was set, a sail with ropes firm to the mast, the flood timbers moaned. Nor did wind over billows that wave swimmer blow across from her course. The craft sped on, foam-necked it floated forth o'er the waves, keel firm-bound over briny currents, till they got them sight of the Geatish cliffs, home-known headlands. High the boat, stirred by winds, on the strand updrove. Helpful at haven the harbor guard stood, who long already for loved companions by the water had waited and watched afar.